Alrighty, RW Wrestling Podcast back again. The three amigos reunited.
Yes, sir.
You realize this is going up in like 2 months, right?
Yeah.
That's
I might have been back for a while by the time this goes up, so that's a horrible intro.
Oh well. Today we're doing an episode for a special wrestler, Eddie Guerrero. It's going to be the 15th anniversary of his passing. So we decided to dedicate 2 shows that were milestones to him.
And his last match.
Latino heat in the house.
So first things first is we're reviewing No Way Out 2004.
The championship win.
True. So we started the night off with Ultimo Dragon and Paul London and Billy Kidman versus Sakota and Akio and Tajiri.
On the pre-show.
First thing I wrote is it was cool to see Ultimo Dragon. There was a nice double stomp to Akio from Paul London. Billy Kidman did a nice head scissors to Sakota. There was the nice triple kick by the heels. Nice drop kick from Kidman to Akio. The springboard moonsault from Dragon to Akio was pretty cool. Springboard elbow from Dragon to Tajiri, to Dragon from Tajiri was awesome. And then Sakota and Tajiri end up doing a kick and power slam combo to end the match. So Sakota, Akio, and Tajiri take a victory there. What do you got, Albert?
Kidman. It was weird seeing him without like the jorts or whatever you call them and the wife beater and the long hair. It was I didn't recognize him at first. I thought Paul London was Kidman because he had the long hair.
All I couldn't stop talking about how Billy Kidman fucked Tori Wilson. That's all I talked about during the entire match.
And he deserves all the respect for that because who wouldn't? The match was pretty much just what Chris said. I didn't have anything besides what he said.
My only issue is having the foreign team be the heels is a trope that I don't really like.
And I was surprised Dragon took the pin. I thought at least maybe it'd be Kidman or London. I'm not sure what the
Kidman and London are on the rise of being a star tag team at this point.
Yeah, because they become tag team champions later on in the year.
Okay.
And
then in
Ultimo
05
Dragon
and
gets
06.
cut.
Yeah, it doesn't matter, yeah.
And then 06, they're like tag team champions for a year.
No, that was London and
I'm saying
Kendrick.
London and Kendrick, but like London. Not Billy Kidman. Kidman's garbage.
Yeah, for a pre-show.
Kidman's good, but yeah.
For a pre-show match, I actually enjoyed it. There was also a nice bump that London took over the top rope. I think he flat backed on the outside.
That was your the arm drag thing that you were talking about, where you arm drove over the rope.
This pre-show, no real heat, but the crowd was into it. So just because of that, I'll give it a 5.
I gave it a 6 because it was, it did its job.
Rating as a pre-show match, I'll give it a 6.
So
on the show, I'd give it a 5.
Then we opened up the show with a promo by Tori Wilson and Sable. Albert took a little bit of notes on that.
The non-PG WWE.
There wasn't much to say because this was all pay-per-view hype, and they hyped themselves because they talked about Playboy for a second.
Definitely not pay-per-view hype. It was all Playboy hype. And then they welcomed us in No Way Out. That's basically
right. So it was a bit of them coming out to rev the crowd up. It was like, who wouldn't get revved up by Sable and Tori?
I still think this is weirdly great because it reminds me that WWE used to not be so PG. It's like, hey, our WWE divas are naked in this magazine. Come take a look at it.
Right now.
Like right now, it's just like, hey, what if Sasha did it? What if Bayley did it? Like Becky did it? Like the people they have now, if they still did the Playboy shoots instead of being actual wrestlers, like that would be like if they were still doing this.
What are the odds? I don't know.
Everyone would be like, it's so offensive.
Yeah, it would be offensive.
Well, unless the person wanted to do it, then anybody else would go.
Well, that's what all of them were. They wanted to do it.
I feel like Tori Wilson and Sable and like later on Maria and Ashley, they wanted to do the Playboy cover. Candice Michelle. I feel like they wanted to because they made storylines out of it even.
They only did one male version in Playgirl, and that was Shawn Michaels.
That we are aware of.
That they actually...
How'd you know it was in there, Brett? Did you flip through the pages to find it? That's so funny.
I mean, for all we know, there might have been more. It's just how many Playgirls were we paying attention to?
Well, now they wouldn't even do it this day because Playboy's not even Playboy anymore. So.
Yeah, it's like bikini pictures now. It's like the swimsuit issue of SI.
Dude, not even the swimsuit issue. They do the naked one, too.
They do naked
the
ones still?
The body issue is naked, but it's covered up naked. Like, you don't see anything because of the way...
Okay, that's dumb.
That's no fun.
You get like muscular ass shots and shit.
But then we've got the handicap match for the WWE Tag Team titles: Scotty 2 and Rikishi versus Shaniqua and the Bashams.
The dominatrix storyline is great.
Wasn't it supposed to be a 6-man tag?
No,
it's always a handicap.
Yeah, it was always a handicap just because of Shaniqua.
Gotcha.
for the tag titles.
So first, there was a nice head scissors from Scotty 2 Hotty to Danny Basham. Rikishi does a hip toss to Shaniqua and attempts to stink face her. Scotty 2 Hotty attempts the worm and Shaniqua clotheslines him.
That was actually really good. That was a great moment. Great heat killer. Or heat creator, I should say.
Heels were doing a pretty decent job at cutting off the ring.
Momentum killer.
So Scotty could not get the hot tag to Rikishi. When Scotty does get the hot tag to Rikishi, he starts cleaning house. Goes for the bonsai drop to Shaniqua, but the Bashams end up power bombing him. Rikishi does the Samoan drop to Shaniqua, and then does the bonsai drop to her, and get the 1, 2, 3. So Scotty 2 Hotty and Rikishi retain. Any extra notes on that, Albert?
The crowd popped when Rikishi and Shaniqua got together in the ring. It just makes me wonder, like, was she getting like the China push that China never got with the guys? Because China
Not
wanted the rest of
really.
the guys.
This was about the last time I saw her ever.
Yeah. Oh well, at the time I didn't know who she was either. I'm sorry. Now looking back, I never remember her at all.
Well, here's the deal. So the show we're gonna eventually review is WrestleMania 20, and that's one where the Bashams are in a fatal 4-way with Scotty 2 Hotty and Rikishi, World's Greatest Tag Team in APA. Shaniqua's not even at that show.
Wow.
So that shows what happened to her career. I believe she got sent down to developmental, but I'm not 100% positive. But she doesn't make it throughout the year.
Well, but it makes me wonder is that like China was pretty green when it came to being in the ring. She wasn't that great in the ring.
But she was pushed against the males like Jeff Jarrett and whatnot.
So that's what I'm wondering. Why is she being pushed, getting in the ring with someone like Rikishi, taking bumps?
Well, you got to think a lot of the story is about her interfering in the Basham's matches to make them win. So, of course, why wouldn't Scotty and Rikishi have Shaniqua in the match too, just to even the odds, quote unquote, so they can defeat her too?
She was always going to be involved, whether it's not a handicap match or not.
No matter what, yeah.
But I like the way the Bashams looked. I never got a good look at them at this time. I'm not sure if they just weren't on TV or whatever.
No, they were on TV.
They were on SmackDown quite a bit, like I said.
Shortly after this, after JBL wins the title at Great American Bash, they become more...
his cabinet members, along with Orlando Jordan.
Which is more respectable with JBL than...
right now.
Than this moment, because...
I like their look. I'm not sure what their gimmick is other than being like brothers.
They're Dom. They're subs.
At this point in time, they were subs
They're
until they lose
subs.
they lose Shaniqua.
They used to have like actual vignettes of them being like tied up and her like whipping them and be like, "You like that, huh?"
Yeah, so she was the dominatrix.
It was really. That's why I keep saying that.
Well, I enjoyed this match. I gave it a 6.
I gave it a 6.5 because it was a decent opener. The crowd was really into it.
Yep.
I like Scotty 2 Hotty. I'll give it a 6.
And I'm so surprised that Too Cool is still over at this point. I mean, it's been like...
At this point, wait till you watch WrestleMania 20.
Yeah.
They do a whole dance segment and everything.
But, man, the next match is Jamie Noble versus Nydia.
Oh, I was in the bathroom for this match.
First things first, I wrote that Jamie Noble must be blindfolded for this match. The whole story is that Tajiri gave Nydia the black mist, so she was blinded. And essentially, anytime Jamie Noble could use her as an advantage to throw off an opponent, he would. He would throw her in the way and everything. So that's what this match was kind of about. So first things first, I wrote that Jamie Noble got slapped by Nydia, and then he took off the hood / blindfold, and the referee was yelling at him to put it back on. Then Nydia was kind of being smart by kind of jumping around the ring to trick Jamie Noble where she was in the ring.
Dumb heel.
So Nydia could actually sneak attack him. Noble almost grabbed her tits in the corner. Nydia then decided to pull down his pants. Noble was trying to use the crowd to help find where Nydia was, but they were not helping. Noble did eventually get her, pulled out a little bit of her hair. Nydia was on the top rope. Noble lifted up the hood to see that she was on the top rope, put her in a dragon sleeper, and tapped her out. So Jamie Noble wins.
Yeah. One of my biggest things about some of the either heel or face, if you have too much hubris, Nydia had the hubris. She was messing around, kicking him in the ass, and
she thought she had the
pushing him and
advantage
shoving him around. I mean, but that's just her trying to embarrass him after she was embarrassed for however long she had the blind gimmick after the
2 months or so.
the Black Mist, right?
Yeah, it was like October when that happened.
But of course, Jamie Noble cheats, and there's no way that she was gonna win this match. And I didn't mind the story at all. I thought it was really cool. I don't know what you guys think of it, but like seeing him just dominate her at the end just for like 5 seconds, and whether she had the advantage the entire match, quote unquote, and then she choked her. He choked her out, and that was it. Nice bump off the top rope, by the way, for Nydia. She tapped out, and I thought the story was good. I'm giving it a 6.
I thought the story was fine. I just didn't really like the match quality, so I gave it a 4 because I hate when they do any type of blindfolded matches, whether it be both competitors or in this case just one.
Well, both competitors is dumb. My intrigue to this match is more interested to see like they actually did now 2 matches in a row, an intergender style match that you don't see in the mainstream companies anymore.
Yeah, you don't see
Not
those.
saying that it's good or bad, but I know all the indie companies do a lot of these intergender matches.
Yeah, what would you rate this particular
I'll
match?
give it a 4.5. I didn't really watch it, so.
Yeah, 'cause I wasn't a huge
But I did
fan.
like the end. The chokeout was good.
Also, like I think Nydia's a pretty good actress. Like she sold her apprehension going into the match pretty well.
She plays a pretty good trailer park girl too.
Hey, if that's what she plays.
So does Jamie Noble though.
Yeah.
My Nydia.
We got ourselves a trailer park moving up.
Which is really weird watching him be ROH World Champion like 2 years before this.
No, that's
Not
like
after.
a year. It's a year and a half after about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It is.
Oh yeah, he leaves and then goes to ROH.
Was there a promo after this, Albert, backstage?
There was a Angle promo with a very, very young Josh Matthews.
Yeah, a very
Angle,
young.
the idea of he was saying he's going to be number 1 contender, and then Cena walks up and he just talks a little bit of trash, and they have a pull apart, and that's pretty much the gist of it.
Well, and then they also do this angle where they showed from SmackDown where Kurt is attacked with a chair before a match.
Oh yeah, I was going to mention that
Angle's
during,
like,
yeah.
Cena,
During the
it's
match.
your fault. Whatever.
Yeah, I was going to mention that when John Cena's promo came up later before.
You can mention it now because technically he ends up beating his ass for it. Going, I would have beat you from the front. Boom.
Yeah.
And they started beating each other up. So we had the world's greatest tag team versus APA. First off, there was a nice double shoulder tackle from the APA to Shelton Benjamin. Then
I like this match.
Bradshaw was selling an arm injury, and it's actually taped up, so that's pretty cool. Let's see here. World's greatest tag team is going after the arm on Farouk and on Bradshaw. Nice spine buster from Farouk to Haas. Then Bradshaw is just cleaning house. He does the power slam and the power bomb to Shelton. Bradshaw does the last call to Shelton from the top rope. There's the clothesline from Hell to Charlie Haas. Then Shelton Benjamin just kicks JBL / Bradshaw in the head. And the world's greatest tag team pick up the victory.
APA is still over. Again, it's one of those things, like it's been a long... They've been a tag team for a few years, like Too Cool. Never really saw them reach their full potential, although I know they both were tag champs. So I'm still surprised that both of them get pops, which is a testament to how good they are.
Well, it's funny because we talk about the APA and we talk about Farouk and all that, but like, listen to other podcasts, you talk about Farouk before WWE. He was a powerhouse. People like he was actually a main star
Oh, yeah,
in some
he
of
was
the like the
kicking
territory
ass.
days and shit.
WCW champion. First one ever.
That kind of shit. Like
Or, I'm sorry.
First African American
Yeah.
WCW champion.
Yeah.
But like he was that, and then in WWE it was like damn and tag teams, and that was basically
And
all
we are the nation.
of
Yeah.
domination.
I mean, it's great gimmicks for him. He played them off well because he just knows how to portray those kinds
It's
of
just weird
things.
hearing those stories. Be like, I watch him as a tag team wrestler. That's what I know him as a tag team wrestler. And then you hear like all these stories from back in the day, and be like, oh, he was this great single star.
APA always pounding ass.
So
Yeah,
Warhorse.
I like the Bradshaw selling his arm.
my
He even hit the clothesline later. He would sell it. That's what caused him to lose. But
Yep.
and
Benjamin
Shelton
super
wins
kicks
with
him.
a super kick.
Yeah. When Bradshaw got that hot tag, the crowd popped. I was like, wow. I think people were jumping out of their seats because Simmons was selling that arm for so long. The psychology is really good. The last call,
That,
Follow away
it's just a
slam.
follow-away slam. Okay, I couldn't remember
but
the
it's
term
off
for
the
that.
top rope.
Yeah, it was off the top rope.
It's called last call because what
Last
Hangman,
call for alcohol.
and it's what Hangman does now.
The
And they call it the last call as well.
The ending was good. I gave this match a 7. I enjoyed it.
I gave it a 7 as well.
I'll give it a 7.5 for 2 reasons. Shelton Benjamin deserves better. Love Shelton Benjamin.
He does deserve better.
And,
Holy shit!
I
This
mean,
is the first time you've actually given a match a higher rating than Albert and I.
I love Shelton. I love the
I
world's.
think it's happened before.
I love the world's greatest tag team.
I don't know. This is the first time I remember.
And
it.
I'll follow it up with, as much as I didn't like JBL as a single star, he makes a devastating clothesline
Looks so good.
look so good, more than anybody could ever make it look.
And you can see his transformation from Bradshaw to JBL with the haircut. He shaved his beard off and all that.
Because you knew it was coming. Because like even as this tag team, he's got his new look. He's just still in the APA.
Yeah, and him losing, I'm sure, gets him upset with Farouk down the line. And
But
then
that
he does Farouk
fucking clothesline, even with the injury, he fucking laid it in. The guy took it. Like nobody makes a clothesline look more devastating than JBL.
Well,
And
The discus lariat that Hangman does is pretty good.
The best thing when JBL
Not what Brody Lee does.
no.
when JBL goes to the ropes, he actually attacks the ropes. He gets so deep into them, so you just
It looks
feel
like he's got all
him
that
coming
force.
off. He has so much momentum and energy, and it just kills you.
Well, and then you talk about the APA and what happens with the APA. So those guys have a couple more months of being a tag team together, and then they have a tag team match where.
Did they end up in
I
the
can't-
WrestleMania map tournament?
Yep.
They were in
I
that.
can't remember who was the general manager at the time. It was either Paul Heyman or Kurt Angle.
I think it's Paul Heyman.
But they said, hey, APA, if you lose this match, you're fired. APA loses. And then they're backstage and they're, packing their bags and getting ready to leave and break up, be done. Well, then the general manager, whether Paul Heyman or whatever, goes up to him and goes, no, I don't mean you, Bradshaw. I mean you, Farouk. You're fired. And he goes, you're coming with me, right? And Bradshaw stays behind.
And this is where JBL gets his singles push and wins the title.
Yep.
Which is why I say, because the Kurt Angle thing happens
Well, Kurt Angle gets, like, quote-unquote kayfabe injured or
with the chokeslam thing that
off the
Big Show
fucking...
does, which is between
parking
WrestleMania and the Great American Bash.
It's between that and Judgment Day, actually, because
Yeah.
he's the
It's
general manager
after-
of Judgment Day. But, anyways, then we have a promo where Paul Heyman comes in the ring and says, Goldberg, don't get involved with with anything tonight. This is my pay-per-view.
I actually
Sit
hated
down
this.
on your seat.
I hated this.
Stay there.
Stay there.
Lesnar's egging him on when he comes out.
Lesnar comes out, and Lesnar goes, come on, Goldberg, what are you going to do? What are you going to do, Goldberg?
You're gonna be a bitch.
And then Goldberg kicks his ass.
Then Goldberg stands up, and Heyman starts yelling, sit down! Sit down!
Yeah, I got a little too much with that.
He gets in the ring. He's like, get back in your seats. He's already in the ring.
So then Lesnar lifts up Goldberg, because Goldberg's not taking the, I'm going to pretty much spear
His
you into the
charging
fucking corner.
Like,
It's
it looks so
so
bad 'cause,
silly.
like he stood there stiff as a rock, and he's like, "What the fuck?"
Sell it, motherfucker. Damn.
Then Goldberg gives Lesnar the jackhammer, and then gets quote-unquote arrested.
So I hated all of this.
Well, then you hear Hardcore Holly's theme
I don't
song,
even care about this. We can transition to the next match.
which is what you the last opponent Brock had was Hardcore Holly for the title.
At the Royal Rumble.
So Hardcore Holly runs out, and Brock's expression's like, "Oh shit!" So him and Heyman roll out of the ring and take off. Well, then we figure out we're having Hardcore Holly versus Rhino.
Before we get there, I do want to talk something about this segment. That last segment is exactly why I hate Brock Lesnar, at least in this particular match, because everybody knows everybody's gone. This segment, he does that, nobody sells, whatever, but he sucks on the mic, so this is why Paul Heyman, that's what I'm trying to say. This is exactly why Brock's not allowed to have a microphone.
Where?
Because he was horrible in this. At least on the mic, he was
He's
bad.
just like, "What are you gonna do, Goldberg?"
You're gonna be a bitch.
But it was interesting to see him actually be like, what the fuck, and like get terrified about something for a minute.
But it's Goldberg.
But it's Goldberg.
Also, it was weird to me that they're going to set up this kind of match that everyone knows is going to go to Mania. And then, but I guess that also took people off the scent of Eddie winning the of Eddie winning the
Well,
title.
because like I said, it could have been for the title. They were going to have the match regardless.
Yeah.
Everybody thought Eddie was a stand-in for what was going to happen.
Well, plus you got to think about it this way too. It's like you're setting up for this Goldberg Lesnar match, and where else would you have had it other than WrestleMania at this point in time? There's not another pay-per-view in between, you're not gonna be like,
Not to
all
put
right,
on
So
let's
they
SmackDown.
started
do.
this at the Rumble.
Let's do. No, they started at Survivor
Oh
Series.
yeah, and it moved on to the Rumble.
But they're not gonna be like, hey, we're at No Way Out, so how about after Brock beats Eddie? How about then we go Goldberg and Lesnar? They're not gonna do that.
No,
They're not gonna have it on SmackDown. They're not gonna have it on Raw.
Especially like you said, it was at the the first spot I remember was
They
was
brought
the Rumble.
it back at the Royal Rumble. It
Yeah.
started as Survivor Series, but didn't really bring anything into it until it hit the Royal Rumble.
Well, because that was the next time the brands were doing a
Yeah.
cross-branded pay-per-view.
The arresting part was dumb because like you don't know like okay, so Goldberg had an arresting segments on that infamous episode of Nitro where the finger poke of doom, Hogan to Nash, and but the way they set that up was that it was supposed to be Goldberg and Nash for the rematch from Starrcade. So Miss Elizabeth says that Goldberg was spying on her, said was trying to rape her, all this stuff, and Goldberg didn't want to go with that, so they got him arrested for aggravated stalking or something like that. So he got sent to jail. So the entire show
Okay, DDP.
was Goldberg trying to get back in time to get his title shot, which he didn't make it until then that brought in the Hogan finger poke of doom. So Goldberg getting arrested there, and then his fight to get back was dumb.
They had that, they had this, and then the last night he showed up on WWE TV forever, the day after WrestleMania 20, he gets arrested and kicked out of the fucking arena too.
So
He got
the
He got
arrested
suspended indefinitely and then kicked out of the arena,
Just
and
never brought back.
they've never seen again.
I can remember one time someone getting arrested on TV working. That was Austin, but that was
Well, they just did it again with Jeff Hardy during his drinking storyline.
Well,
So,
they,
yeah,
they
so-
attempted to until they found out Jeff passed his DUI test.
Yeah, so they let him go, but like they tried to arrest him. They're like, yeah,
So,
the wrestling storyline's dumb.
Another one though is the Becky, Charlotte, and Rondo.
They all got, that was great
Wow,
though.
that was crazy.
That was
It was
stupidly
fun.
bad.
It was fun.
It was hilarious though, because
It was
like,
so great.
they kicked the window. It's like, come get me, you fucking son of a bitch.
Yeah.
Shit.
So like and if anybody's listening,
That was
to
the last
wrestling,
time it was good.
Please take my opinion. Don't do any more wrestling on TV. It's really dumb because no one stays locked up. So why even do it?
I also hate
it
stretcher
it
spots.
depends on when they do it. Because if they do it, let's say, and then let's say you don't see the next person until the next week, I would be okay with
Well, I'll
that.
say this: wrestling's also been doing stretcher spots recently, and I don't like either. Well, the Cody one was fine. The Jake Atlas one sucked.
Yeah.
I'm just not a fan of the arresting bullshit.
I don't like arresting. I don't like stretcher spots.
I don't care about the arresting or the stretcher so much as long as it takes that person off of TV for a while.
Well, like it did with Cody, and the way they did it was good.
Like if you're gonna come back later on in the show, or like the arrest spot next week is fine. But if you come
They
back,
always
the
come back
end
though.
of the
That's the
show,
problem. They
that's
always
stupid.
come back.
But anyways, we had Hardcore
Yeah, we'll
Holly
get to that
versus
later.
Rhino.
They don't even explain it. Taz makes one off-putting comment like this, like, "Oh, how to get out of the cuffs?" And then it goes. When we get later on, that's the only comment on it.
But I wrote for Hardcore Holly versus Rhino. That's kind of hard hitting, very random though. Seems to be
Nobody gave a
Just-
shit.
booked to see Brock's reaction to Hardcore Holly. Rhino suplexed Holly onto the ropes. That's kind of cool. Holly did a running clothesline to Rhino. Let's see. They randomly switched to Spanish commentary during this match
Yeah, I
for
know.
some odd reason.
Because they forgot to bring up the Spanish commentary, so they you guys talk for a minute. Let's go.
Holly did a drop kick to Rhino. Rhino superplexed Holly. There was the inverted DDT to Rhino. A spine buster to Hardcore Holly. Then Rhino did a gore to Holly, but Holly rolled out of the
I
ring.
want to talk about this because that gore was fantastic.
It was.
But then by rolling out of the ring, you basically no-sold the effect of the gore. Like, yeah,
Pretty much.
because like I don't like when like the point that a heel gets out of the way, they roll out of the ring, so you can't capitalize on the win. I get why people roll out of the ring, but rolling out of the ring basically no-sells the move itself. Somebody
It
hits an
does.
RKO and they immediately roll out of the ring.
You're supposed to be out like a light.
That's the point of the
You're
finishing
supposed to be out
move.
like a light. Not be able to have the wherewithal to roll out of the ring.
It's like, just go, fuck
Yeah.
it.
I'm with you, 100%.
Then there's the Alabama Slam to Rhino, so Hardcore Holly wins.
Out of nowhere, after rolling out of the ring from no-selling the core.
Any notes on that one? Albert?
No, you pretty much said it all. I thought it was hard hitting. I didn't mind the match for what it was, but unfortunately there's no heat. So obviously the crowd wasn't into it at all, and we as viewers look at the crowd and it hypes us up as well. So I can't give it any higher than a 4, but I enjoyed the work these two guys did. I thought it was good for that.
And also couldn't have been placed anywhere else because, like he said, the whole point of it being there was for Brock to run like a bitch because Hardcore Holly hit the ring.
Yeah, I said 4, right? Yeah, 4.
Yeah, 4 for you. What's for you?
It's just... Yeah, 4 makes sense to me.
Because, I mean, it didn't suck. It's not that they went out there and stunk it up.
Just didn't really... It didn't need to be there either.
See, and I
But it was, so...
I gave it a 5.5 just because, like, they tried. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I'm just saying they could have done the whole Brock segment with Goldberg and all that shit happening without this.
Yeah, they
and just moved on, and it would have been fine.
They could have. They could have showed a promo package. Just
good for Rhino
else.
to get on the money.
I wonder if they called that in the ring. Because it seems to me it was like it was just out of the blue that they put this match together.
Well, they did during the match announce that they had made that announced that match for the pay-per-view on Sunday Night Heat.
It seems like one of those Vince McMahon changes that happens like 5 minutes beforehand. Like, oh shit.
I think WWE was more organized back then, not like they are now, where they're changing things on the fly.
Ripping up scripts 5 minutes before the show.
Yeah.
True. So then, did we get a promo or a segment
it was
after
like
this backstage?
It was like a little Taker hype, Undertaker hype for
Taker's
WrestleMania.
return because he hasn't been seen since getting buried alive.
Survivor Series.
Let's get buried alive.
He distracted Kane at the Rumble with his little
gong,
whatever, and Kane was like, "I buried you," and I think somebody, I don't remember who tossed him out.
Threw him out of the ring.
I don't remember who threw him out of the ring, but the next person that came out was Spike Dudley, and Spike Dudley got killed.
Yeah.
But anyways, we had the Cruiserweight title match, Rey Mysterio versus Chavo Guerrero. So Rey Mysterio has boxer Jorge Paez on his side, and Chavo Guerrero...
His weird no-hair triangle look.
Chavo Guerrero has Chavo Classic by his side. So Rey does a top rope head scissors takedown. There's some pretty good chain wrestling here between the two. There's a springboard sunset flip to Chavo. 619 to Chavo. Paez gets kicked out for punching Chavo Classic. Rey does a plancha to Chavo. There's the springboard leg drop to Chavo. I didn't know what the hell was this move, but it was a knee backbreaker type thing to Rey Mysterio from Chavo from the top rope. That looked rather interesting. I didn't know what the hell it was called, but there was the... So Chavo had essentially like a single Boston Crab that he was bending Rey's knee back as far as he could. So he had that to Rey Mysterio. There was a DDT to Chavo on the apron. Rey did a moonsault to Chavo. There was the gory bomb to Rey Mysterio. 619 to Chavo. And then Chavo was able to roll through it, the West Coast pop portion of the 619 into the single leg Boston Crab. Then Chavo Classic throws Rey off the top rope, and Chavo rolls him up for the 3. So Chavo Guerrero is your new Cruiserweight champion.
Most dangerous move in wrestling.
This crowd was hyped all the way through it. Like even I'm sitting there going like, I can't wait for for Rey Mysterio to keep to get to his come back to pop the crowd. I couldn't wait. Yeah, I don't know why Jorge Paez was out. Maybe I just don't understand the story, but like
the only reason I could think of is to try to negate Chavo Classic. That's the only reason that Jorge Paez was even needed.
But that's not even but that's not babyface stuff.
No, but the thing is you want to even the odds.
Okay, that's fine. I guess if Rey Mysterio had won, it'd been better if Paez wasn't out there. You know what I'm saying? Like the babyface overcame the odds.
I agree, but I mean, if they wouldn't have kicked Paez out, Rey could have won.
It just places people so unceremoniously like kicked out of ringside, which never happens to a face, by the way.
Yeah, it really doesn't. So that was kind of odd.
Chavo, dude, so over as a heel. I don't know how he couldn't sustain it.
Oh, in the promo.
All he did was just do this, and the crowd booed him. Like, it was great. All he did was like he just moved his fingers. I'm sorry. All he did was
good call.
He waved his fingers like the money sign.
Yeah,
like he's doing the money sign.
Audio.
And
like this, or this, or this.
Like this.
But not like that. Like this. There was a cool spot at the beginning where there was some back and forth, and then Chavo takes a powder out. That's a cool heel move. I like it.
Take a powder.
Yeah, he just jumps out of the ring.
Take a powder.
Something like I call it an elevator slam on Rey. It's like a one-handed slam. I'm not sure what to call it, but there's all kinds of moves we couldn't figure out what they were doing.
Well, it was almost a lucha match.
Yeah, pretty much.
Chavo keeps working the crowd. Slingshot and the sunset flip look really cool. Chavo begs off again, more heel heat, because that's what heels are supposed to do. There's a cool gut buster by Guerrero. I don't know if it was off the top rope, but maybe it was off Brett's rope. I'm not sure.
I think it was off the top.
Yeah, Ray, and over and over again, Ray keeps getting cut off. Ray hit a good spinning heel kick. I thought was really cool. And then the end, I thought it was a good ending because I totally forgot that freaking Chavo Classic was there, and then he comes out of nowhere, and the heel.
Well, ever since Ray's manager dude got kicked out, you forgot Chavo Classic was there.
Yeah,
he got knocked the fuck out apparently by a boxer.
So he was out a lot longer than the ref during the Taker Triple H match, is what you're saying.
Oh God, bring him back.
And then the end, yeah. The end was good because it sets up Chavo as a Mysterio to get a rematch because Chavo cheated and Ray was the face, and I thought it was a great match. I gave it an 8.
I gave it an 8 as well.
Yeah, 8's about right.
The crowd was into it,
definitely the match at this point.
Yeah, and we're getting some other ones here that are really good.
So then after this match, was it that Chavo's backstage?
Oh yeah, I think Matthews is trying to ask him a question or two, and Chavo just cut him off and said, "I won my match. I'm the real Guerrero. I'm not the loser."
They're standing outside
Eddie
of a
Guerrero.
door marked
And,
Eddie Guerrero.
Yeah, that's a loser. He's gonna lose. He's addicted to losing.
He's an addict.
Yeah, and all that stuff, and then it's pretty much to help Eddie's story along the way as well.
Well, plus to be fair, I mean the previous month at the Royal Rumble, Eddie Guerrero and Chavo Guerrero had a singles match.
Yeah.
Chavo won, I believe.
I believe Eddie won.
I think Eddie won, but
Oh,
Eddie.
I don't remember the Rumble 2004 other than Benoit winning.
But I think that was also.
And Brock and Harper.
What split them up, by the way?
So what ended
Eddie's
up
an
splitting them
addict.
up is that they were going for the tag titles, and Eddie Guerrero got pinned. So Chavo started getting pissed and resenting Eddie, calling him the loser of the family. Kurt Angle tried to intervene and get them to get back on the same page, while secretly just adding fuel to the fire.
Sounds like Kurt.
Yep. Which then Chavo brought his dad in because pretty much he wanted to prove that the Chavos are better than Eddie. Plus, it also gave his dad a payday.
Yeah.
But anyways, I mean, it didn't go too far, like with the whole storyline between those two, Eddie and Chavo, but
That's pretty much it.
It
yeah.
definitely helped Eddie's moment at the end of the night, though.
it did.
Correct.
Well, and again, who thought Eddie? Well, outside of the Goldberg thing, who thought Eddie was going to beat Brock?
I have a feeling if I watch this, I didn't watch it when it happened, but I got a feeling if
I didn't watch it when it happened.
knowing what I
either.
know now, going back then, if I start seeing all this Eddie stuff being played out the way it did, I would have thought Eddie would. Wait a minute, Eddie might win tonight, but I wouldn't have been sure.
But we were 12.
Just those little things,
Yeah, we were like 12.
just those little things that kept.
I wasn't even 12 yet. I was 11.
Yeah,
Just-
we would have both been 11, that's right.
Just those little things that kept getting placed that made you think Eddie might win this match, but
Well, and this is starting like the beginning of, at least for me, a ton of my wrestling memories start around this period of time.
Like you can say, like my first time I can recall watching wrestling was SummerSlam '99, which we did.
But it's like, how many angles and storylines do you really remember from that period?
SummerSlam
Not very
'99.
many.
SummerSlam '99, I was just over 7 years old.
Yeah, like this is the point in time where
And I didn't
Legend
even
and
buy
I
the-
start remembering.
And I didn't even buy the show. I just had the VHS.
yeah, we were in the car earlier and you're talking about. I think you listed off all the main events for like a calendar year. It was impressive.
Oh, this guy can probably list everything that he owns main event.
Aside from Ring of Honor and TNA.
But like all the WWE main events that you own.
Oh yeah, it's kind of sad.
The way I am with AEW, you are with everything else.
But then we go into the next match. It's a triple threat match for the #1 contendership at WrestleMania. It's Kurt Angle, Big Show, and John Cena. First things first is they did show a tail of the tape, which I liked how they did that.
Yeah.
They showed career accomplishments from all three people,
John Cena, PhD in thugonomics.
which at the
Major
time he
health.
never had a career highlight.
He
so it's
doesn't
like,
win a title until WrestleMania.
So it's like Big Show, WWE title, U.S. title. You know, Kurt
Oh,
Angle
Cena-
it says WWE title.
Cena
whatever.
becomes a 3-time U.S. champion in the span of a year before he wins the world title.
I think it's just twice.
I think it goes back and forth twice, yeah.
Because he wins it at Mania, keeps it for a while, loses it, and then he has the Carlito feud.
No, that was.
Because did he hold it from WrestleMania until Carlito debuted?
I think Carlito was after he won the world title.
No,
No,
Carlito's
actually,
in 04.
Was he U.S. champion?
actually, he's right
It's
because
3 times.
Booker T
Yeah, because he wins the title at Mania.
Then
he has the
best of
5-way with
Booker.
Booker, and then he loses it to Carlito and beats Carlito again. It's a 3-time U.S. champion.
Yeah, because he has the best of 5 series of Booker T.
And then he loses it to whoever took it.
Orlando Jordan.
Oh my God, yeah, that's right. Because that was playing into the JBL storyline.
Yep. So then we got the triple threat match.
See, I'm right. I got some facts.
So first things first is obviously Kurt Angle and Big Show come out to the ring, and then Cena starts rapping about Angle and Big Show.
So he just says you're like crap or some shit. Like that wasn't even a rap. That was just a diss.
Yeah, he basically lines up, says, "Do you think I hit you with a chair?" Well, whatever. I forget the rhyme. But he basically just tells Big Show, Angle,
He's
Big
like
Show,
that 500-pound
piece of crap is standing next to you.
And of course, there's a spot where, like he always does, he raises the mic at the end.
Well, he called them bitches first.
Yeah, he calls them bitches.
Yeah, I thought that was going to be the way he puts the mic up so the crowd could chant along with him because it rhymed with fishes. I was like, oh, he's going to say bitches, and for sure he said it.
He says bitches.
Yeah.
Like,
but then he said everybody else, both you guys
swinging
in the ring,
from his jaw.
you can sing, you can just swing from my.
And then you just hear a loud cocks.
Yeah. And actually my favorite one of all time when it comes to those is when he and Big Show had a rap off, and your little finger, or I'm sorry, my little finger is bigger than your dick. It was hilarious.
Oh yeah, they had some good times with that. So first things first is Cena just sits in the corner and watches Angle and Show beat each other up. Then, like 30 seconds later, Angle's the one watching Cena and Big Show Then like another 30 seconds, and Big Show's just watching Angle and Cena. Big Show does a nice sidewalk slam to Kurt Angle. Big Show does a leg drop to Cena. Cena does the spin out power bomb to Angle. There's 3 Germans to Cena. There is, let's see, Angle, or actually Big Show does a Beal to Cena.
What?
Beal!
There's the delayed vertical to Cena from Show. Angle does a top rope drop kick to Big Show, which you never really see him do top rope moves. That's the moonsault.
Like, you know what a Beal is?
No, I guess not.
A Beal is literally where I have you in front of me and I just toss you.
Oh, okay.
Beal.
Wow. Learn something new every day. All right.
The tactical term for some really stupid shit.
Yeah, pretty much. So then there's the FU to Big Show.
Okay, so I want to talk about that because I did not know they gave this spot away in this match because they made a big deal about it at Mania. The fact that they gave it away in this match, if I was a fan, I would have been pissed.
True.
Because the reaction at Mania was like, "Oh my God, he picked him up." It's like he just. And now knowing what I know, it's like, well, it's not. It's the second time.
And to add on to that, Cena didn't win the match.
Yeah, he doesn't win on it.
So why not just have like Cena get him like halfway up or 3/4 of the way up, and then Show just falls on top of Cena?
Oh no!
I agree.
It moves into the angle slam, which is where you're going.
Cena does a DDT to Angle.
Because he reverses the angle slam.
Then there's the Angle slam to Big Show. Ankle lock to Cena. Show does a choke slam to Angle. Show does a choke slam to Cena. Ankle lock to Big Show. Cena does a spine buster and a 5-knuckle shuffle to Angle.
A very weird spine buster.
Then
especially because it came from Cena.
There's the Angle slam to Show outside the ring. So he's literally standing next to the ropes, does an angle slam, Big Show just falls out of the ring. Then the ankle lock to Cena. Cena taps. Kurt Angle is your victor.
See, Angle and getting Cena the way he did. The Grapevine is the best ankle lock ever.
Oh, yeah.
We talked about the Big Show one, and then he waited, and did the rollover. It's like, I watched the ankle lock. Jake Hager does it. Angle does it.
Shamrock used to do it.
Shamrock. If you don't, it seems so fake to me because anybody can just shift their weight. It's not that hard when he's holding this very small part of your body that you can just shift your weight.
Yeah, good luck trying to drag 250 pounds across the ring. That's
but when he does the Grapevine, it's like, that's a very believable move.
Well, yeah, because at that point he's on the fucking ground, and it's like, you're not going to be able to just kick him off.
But the basic ankle lock that he did for fucking ever always bothered me.
Did you mention the when Angle tried to German suplex Show off the apron?
Nope, I did not mention that because I knew you were going to.
I was like, whoa, my good lord. Imagine, Show would not have survived that. He would have been dead. Because like he was going to come down 500 pounds on the ground, even on his back. Well, he wouldn't have been dead. You get my point. And then that didn't work. Angle falls off the apron, and then eventually you see a ball shot from across the ring.
Has he ever actually hit that German suplex?
Yes.
And there's one match in particular I want to know.
Off the apron?
Yes.
You're talking Randy Orton?
No.
Because I believe he hits it on Orton at Vengeance.
Because I know he tries it in the classic of Michaels at Mania 21. And
He tries it a lot.
That ends up into that moonsault that Michaels does off the apron that leads into an ankle slam onto the apron.
Yeah.
But I couldn't think of times where he actually hit that.
I believe he hit it on Orton at Vengeance.
So he has to hit it somewhere, or else it's a pointless spot to do, because somebody has to take it.
At some point. I'm glad it wasn't Show, because I don't think Show would have survived it.
But then Show got hit in the balls.
Well, the problem is they only have that small space, and Big Show's a big guy, because the announce table's right there too. If you go too far back from the top
Fucking
rope,
Show's head would have went bonk.
broken neck.
Potentially.
So and then the A spot, I totally agree with you on that one.
Well, if he wins, it's a whole different thing, but that's too early for Cena.
21
was perfect.
And then the trade-off finisher spots was all that stuff's always interesting, but
he
like
angle slams Big Show out of the ring.
That was cool.
And then
it's a good way to get Big Show out of there.
And and then the end was an Angle was went over clean. He didn't there was no bullshit finish, no overbooking or whatever, and he won fair and square. And then he goes
I like
on
when heels
Eddie
win.
Guerrero.
Fair.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't know if Angle is heel at this point in time.
He was basically
He
heel.
seems like he
if
was.
You're looking
at the
people,
Royal Rumble, though, he was a face
I'm
because
saying
he
if you're
dedicated it to the troops, and he got a huge reaction.
I'm just saying, and the fans cheered when we walked out because Big Show's a heel. That's what they're trying to play.
Big Show's
here.
definitely heel.
But Cena's a face.
Yep.
Big Show's a heel, but Angle beats Cena.
Is Angle a tweener?
Yeah, he would have to be a tweener because you don't have face beat face.
Because he goes heel.
At least at this time.
He goes heel at WrestleMania, I know that.
Yeah, because he gets...
But at the Rumble, he's a face, so it's like...
Somewhere in between.
Yeah, it's got to be a tweener because Cena's a clear baby face and Big Show's a clear heel. And Angle just wants to know who the fuck attacked him.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, I mean, video replays Angle. I mean, it's right there.
But I'll give it 7.5.
Yeah, I give it 7.5 as well.
I'm going 8. I enjoyed it. Just for the sheer, just the all three of these guys are badass.
We all know what the match of the night is.
Oh, yeah. So the next match of the night.
So we all know
Well,
what the match of the night is.
go
the whole
figure.
reason we're here.
Unless there was a segment before this. Was there a segment before this?
Nope.
No.
WWE title match. Brock Lesnar versus Eddie Guerrero.
This is one of those. I'm just going to start by saying when I heard this happen, even being 11 years old, when I heard this happen, it's being one of the most shocking results to hear.
It was awesome.
Yeah. I had no idea what to make of it until maybe down the line when I found out that Lesnar and Goldberg were leaving, and then Lesnar dropped the belt because he was leaving.
I really didn't know much about Eddie Guerrero at this time.
Yeah.
At that point in time, I didn't either, but I liked his character.
I remember seeing him in WCW, and he was just putting on great matches, and he was the guy who was the workhorse. That Wrestling Bio channel I told you about, where they reliving the Monday Night War. The guy who does the narration says Eddie Guerrero was the MVP. From when they started, he started it starting September '95, and I've gotten all the way to maybe January '96. And every time Eddie's on the show, it always gets a point for WCW because they're just trying to compare the two shows.
Yep.
He calls Eddie Guerrero the MVP. Every match he's in is just fantastic, and he's really, really skinny then compared to this match
when he
here.
gets all muscular.
Yeah.
Well, and I personally love Eddie Guerrero.
Yeah.
Like one of my first wrestling memories, going to a live show, the main event of it. This was in 2002, around Insurrection time. And the main event of the show was RVD and Eddie Guerrero. And it was, I can't remember if it was an Intercontinental title match or not.
Probably was.
But
European title?
Well, the Intercontinental title was on one of the two. I just don't remember if the belt was on the line.
I'm guessing it probably
It was a house show.
Yeah, I'm guessing even on house shows they do it. The champion just wins.
I was cheering so hard for RVD back then.
But I
really respected Eddie because Eddie had a great look. And that's back when he was Latino Heat. With his fucking mullet.
And I could say I've never, and this sucks because you did and you have seen Eddie Guerrero perform live. I never got that chance because I didn't really go to live events until a few years back, like 4, 5, 6 years ago.
I mean, shit, I've even seen Benoit live.
Yeah.
Because I went to a house show in 2004 and it was right around Vengeance time, and the main event was Triple H and Benoit for the world title.
So I'm going to tell you a really sad story. and it involves a former coworker of mine, friend of mine, Max.
Yep.
The day Eddie died, and this is gonna sound really sad, because it is. It's really blunt.
You already got me depressed.
Eddie dies, and his mom finds out about it. He doesn't know. He's like fucking. It's 2005, so he's probably like 10. He's a few years younger than us. His mom walks in. He's like, "Hey Max, you know a wrestler named Eddie Guerrero?" He's like, "Yeah, he's my favorite. He died today." And that's her follow up to "He's my favorite" was "He died today." I was like, "Damn."
Stick to the heart and twist it.
Like, that's so
honestly, like
that is like the worst like immediate response. Like, "He's my favorite. He died."
I'll tell you this. So we're obviously not reviewing the particular match at this very second, but like
we're gonna get there.
We'll get there. But like back then, I didn't have the same look on wrestling, and you didn't either.
No,
we
I just got back into
we
it.
Liked.
We started talking because of wrestling.
We cheered for who we liked, and we booed for who we didn't like. And the thing is back then Eddie Guerrero was a heel. And I was always like...
You were that face heel guy?
I was like, Eddie, I can't hate you, but quit being a dick to Rey Mysterio, man.
You say that, but I was like, fuck yeah, heel Randy Orton. I'm in it.
Well, I liked certain heels. It's just, there was some that you saw the storylines, and you're like, I don't know.
I'm still that way, though. I like heels.
You tried to be reasonable.
Yeah.
You tried to think a little bit, and back then, we were... younger, so we kind of bought into Vince's plan.
You want to
we cheered the guys he wanted us to cheer.
But like, it's weird. Like I said, I've always liked Orton, like even when he's a heel. But like, that brings up because like nowadays I still cheer for the heel. I have a hard time liking baby faces.
So even more so, it was impacted in me as a kid because like there was no way to discern what what we know now with the internet and dirt sheets and all that.
Yep.
None of that existed back in the 80s.
Nobody's like, oh, Eddie's gonna win the title tonight, like the day.
And then no, yeah, nothing. So like when you saw a bad guy and a good guy, that was pushed to the moon. Especially in the 80s, you had Hogan, who was on top of the world, over the top.
Oh, like everybody, like, this is who they are.
Roddy Piper,
they're separated.
Dusty Rhodes, and all of Ric Flair and all that. So my point is that in WWF, you cheered for the good guys because the bad guys were just made out to be heels.
They were just dicks.
Not really. They were just made to be monsters.
Well, the NWO were dicks.
So, but to your point though, Piper was a dick. The Honky Tonk Man was a silly, but he did that for the heat. So
yeah.
But
that's the thing about heels. So you can be the aggressive
dick.
Yeah. You can be the asshole heel. You can be the chicken shit heel. The Eddie Guerrero heel. You can be Honky Tonk Man heel. So silliness. Baby faces don't work that way because silly baby faces I don't like.
So if they're silly, I fucking hate it.
So the difference between that little I guess paradigm in WWF versus
shift.
Well, versus the NWA was that in the NWA they really took it seriously. Like if you were Flair, you were booed out of the building. They threw batteries at you. They threw whatever they could at you, and the faces were cheered. Tremendously. In WWF, they didn't really run small crowds like that. Not, even the house shows were maybe 10,000 people.
You bring up Ric Flair,
but in the NWA, or in Texas, or in Memphis,
any of the territories,
or any of the territories, if you were a heel, they hated you, and it was very hard to. But at the same time, they still respected the heels because the heels were doing a great job what they did.
But you got to think
the heels have to do a good job of what they do, or else the faces don't get their moment.
Correct.
Well, look at all the wrestlers, though, that have talked in the past, including Cornette and all them, talking about how if you were a heel, you would go outside and your fucking car wouldn't have tires on it.
Right. Yeah, you think you're going to die, like the riots and shit.
Freddie Blassie claimed he got stabbed multiple times.
Yeah, and so, when it comes to guys like Eddie Guerrero right now, or I'm sorry, 2004, it's still
Eddie in 04 was face as hell.
But he always had that ability to go from face to heel and back if need be, and it was never not fresh. It was always really good. So, in this match he was a face, and when we get to the description of the match, you're gonna see how much of a face he is.
Well, that's my favorite part about what we're getting next because we did this, and he's super face. And we're gonna watch No Mercy next. He's the opposite of a face.
Yeah. And
that match
that's where he's transitioning back. Where the feud starts with him being heel.
Well, with Batista, he wanted to be buddies.
Yeah, but
and
like,
Batista's like, I don't fucking trust you.
Yeah.
which
I'm gonna give you a chance.
and they had the
but
match.
fuck you.
Yeah.
And we'll get to that when we talk about the match. But
We'll get to that. Yeah.
but like he goes into that being heel. He starts as a heel thing.
Well, because he had that Ray feud, that was great. But
that's because he transitioned from SummerSlam trying to win somebody's kid in a fucking ladder match.
he was trying to win his own kid. Okay.
It was
the
Dominic.
custody papers. Hey, now if you look at the DNA
Dude, if you
test,
look at
it's
Dom,
Dominic
Hey, by the way,
Guerrero.
whatever, man. If you look at Dom right now, he looks exactly like Ray, but like a foot taller and a grown man.
Hey,
Well,
that's Vicky Guerrero's son.
Well, you did see Dominic do a nice 5-star frog splash. I wonder where he learned that from. His dad?
So I wanted to come out wearing an "I'm Your Poppy" shirt.
Dude, that'd be sweet.
But
Oh
no,
my
like
God.
if you look at Dom now, even if you look at Dom then, he looks like Ray's kid. There was no doubt that he was Ray's kid.
No problem.
Fucking
Well, like,
little short blonde.
My point of him being
Shaking that ladder.
of Eddie being a heel is like No Mercy's like 2-3 months, maybe since SummerSlam. Like
I think it's 2.
that's really hard to push Eddie's a face now when he was literally trying to steal somebody's kid in a fucking ladder match.
I'm your poppy.
But no, he
Oh,
does go
shit.
face before his inevitable death.
Well, I mean, that was the most face he got.
He got face from No Mercy, and then
He was tweener.
and then the last match with Kennedy.
He was tweener.
But like, he's not ultimate heel, but he's definitely not face. He's face here.
But
You'll see it when they have the match when we get
So,
to that.
got the WWE title match. Brock
I
Lesnar
was
and
gonna
Eddie
make
Guerrero.
one comment.
Okay.
You brought up Ric Flair.
Mm.
He was heel in 49 states.
Except North Carolina.
Exactly. 'cause
He was
everyone
face in
loved
one
him
state
there.
because nobody would boo Rick
Nope.
no matter what he did.
That's what I was talking about. Like you could be a face in one state in like 10 other
But
states.
that's where the
and fucking
territory
boot you out of the
system
building.
works.
Yeah, it was great.
Nowadays,
Now
that
we just
would
have the
not.
indie
It wouldn't
system.
work now, though.
Now we just have the indie system. The internet exists. So.
But still, the dirt sheets are still out on everything, and
That's just
some
like the
things
indie
are
system.
surprised.
Everybody knows everything.
Yeah.
Like Moxley can't randomly show up at a CZW event and nobody knows about it.
Or
Because
like when CM Punk put on that mask and showed up in Milwaukee.
it's like he had a GTS like a punk.
Well, even Silas Young tweeted about it.
It's like
Because Silas Young was on that show.
nobody can do anything anywhere without being spotted.
No, that's the shame of the internet these days.
But the internet's also great.
Yeah, depending on what way you look at it.
Can't live with it. Can't live without it sometimes.
But Brock and Eddie.
Brock and Eddie.
This classic of a match, even before everything. This.
Oh, yeah. First off, this match goes like 30 minutes.
Because you didn't start recording your notes until 2 minutes into the match.
Yeah, match right around 30 minutes.
But Brock Lesnar starts off by just showing his strength, so anytime Eddie would attempt to move, Brock would just kind of throw him away. Squat him like,
And this is also the first time we watched a Brock match where Brock's not Brocking.
Yeah, pretty much. So he's just showing off. Then Brock does a backdrop to Eddie Guerrero, and Eddie Guerrero got super high in the fucking air.
Oh, that was one of the best backdrops I've seen in a long time.
I was like,
Huge.
holy shit.
Yeah.
Eddie attempted a Hurricane Rana. Well, then Brock caught him, and he had him in essentially like a powerbomb position, and then he started spinning, and then he just kind of threw him.
Yeah, like
I don't know what he was attempting to do there.
It worked.
But then there was the belly-to-belly suplex to Eddie from Brock. Then Brock does the nice high knee in the corner. Then Eddie is hitting Brock's legs into the turnbuckle from the outside. Then there's the high cradle suplex from Eddie Guerrero to Eddie Guerrero. Sorry. Brock Lesnar has a rear naked choke on Eddie. Brock does the huge ass clothesline to Eddie, to the point where we thought Eddie was gonna die. There's a nice German to Eddie. Brock went for the high knee again, and Eddie moved, and Brock went right over the top. That was pretty cool. Then Eddie does the plancha. The only problem is this was in a replay.
Yeah, I know. Oh my god.
They missed it.
Well, they kind of, yeah.
You knew what's coming.
It's always great when they miss things.
But then Brock hot-shotted
It's a big
Eddie
event.
by getting his neck into the ropes. There was the STF from Eddie to Brock. There was another Brock belly-to-belly suplex. There's a leg scissors DDT to Brock Lesnar from Eddie. Eddie does a figure four to Brock. Then he puts it in an STF instead. Another German to Eddie from Brock. Brock does a sick-ass spine buster to Eddie. Brock goes back to that rear naked choke. Eddie missed the top rope drop kick. Brock hits a nice suplex on Eddie at that point in time. Then Brock's got Eddie in this like gut wrench submission hold. I don't know what he was attempting to do at that point, but then he ends up doing a gut wrench suplex.
This will look good.
Eddie does a drop kick to Brock, and then to Brock's knee. Actually, does a drop kick to Brock's knee. That's one of the main stories here.
Well, the tapping story too.
There's the head scissors to Brock. Then Eddie Guerrero does the Three Amigos. Eddie tries the frog splash and misses. There's the F5 to Eddie Guerrero, which knocks out the referee because the referee's too close.
Let's be very clear. Brock wins this match without everything else that happens.
Oh, yeah, no, for
that
sure.
F5 doesn't hit the referee, the match is over.
Well,
no, definitely.
That's 1,000 matches like that.
But welcome to the story.
Yeah.
So then Brock goes outside of the ring,
Everybody
grabs the belt,
Right.
and here comes Goldberg.
Goldberg.
Because they started, let's be fair, they started chanting halfway through this match for Goldberg. Like, they knew it was going to happen. Like, everybody in the building knew he was coming back. They weren't just going to, he hit a jackhammer and he got arrested. Like, they knew he was coming back to do more shit. That's the only reason people might have believed that Brock was going to lose.
Goldberg speared Brock Lesnar. Then Brock gets up, attempts to give Eddie an F5, which got reversed into a DDT
onto the belt, kind of. Quotation marks.
Question mark.
Eddie does a frog splash to Brock and wins the title.
So I have two comments right off the bat about this match. One, it's one of Brock's last matches.
And one of Brock's best matches.
It's exactly where I'm going. Because you talk about the effort. Like, everybody knew Brock and Goldberg were leaving at Mania. Mm-hmm. That match sucked ass. And neither one of them tried to make it look like they're actually giving a shit.
Brock tried so hard in this one.
And that match sucked ass. But then you look at this being one of his last matches. This was fantastic.
Yeah, I wonder why the motivation left between No Way Out and WrestleMania. WrestleMania is a big payday. You get paid, and you're getting...
It's because
and
the news broke that he was leaving anyway, so it didn't really fucking matter.
Well, you got to think about it this way, too.
He still got paid.
There's definitely a chance that, maybe Brock wanted to try and have a good match. And maybe Goldberg was like, I'm gone. Fuck it.
Or maybe the other way around, too. Who knows?
Could have been the other way around.
Or they both just wanted their money and wanted to go home.
Could have been a mixture of all that.
I still feel like there was more on Brock because Goldberg at least showed up for Monday Night Raw the next night to get his storyline ending. Brock just was done.
Oh, and the fans completely turned on it, going, fuck you. And
they booed it the moment the first person came out.
And then they were singing the na 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 song, but the most over person was Austin, especially when he stunnered both of them at the end.
Right.
So I have as much of a great moment as it was in blah blah. Everybody kind of knew the Goldberg thing. Let me repitch this story. Instead of Goldberg being invited there by Austin, having the spot, doing the moment before, and doing all of that, and just scrapping that completely, and doing this match. Everything that happens in this match. Yeah. Nobody knew Goldberg was going to show up.
If Goldberg just
showed up,
that would have been a huge
speared Brock,
I agree.
Left without any of the rest of the shit.
That would have been way better.
That roof would have come off the building.
Like, that would have been so much better, I feel.
That would have improved the
I get why they did what they did, but...
That would have improved the Brock Goldberg storyline, I'll tell you that.
But if Brock just... Like, if they just like, ha ha ha, Goldberg's not going to show up, and they just went on, and like, yeah, and they did the match, and then Goldberg showed up, instead of just doing the whole thing, like, Goldberg's going to be here tonight, doing the whole segment in the middle of the show, and doing all of that. Yeah. They just cut all that, and then Goldberg just comes in and fucking spears his ass.
Yeah.
That would have been way better.
This whole match was psychology. But both of these guys knew how to bump and sell for each other, and it was like going all the way to the beginning. The crowd was into it, and the first few minutes, hell, even Lesnar, after a little bit of maybe back and forth, eventually Lesnar just starts overpowering Guerrero, and that was the story of the match. There would be times where Eddie would start to mount an offense. Brock would cut him off with a clothesline or a suplex or something like that. There was a time where actually I think Eddie was on the outside of the ring and Brock was like all healing it up, saying, "Hey ref, go count him out, go count him out." Great heel stuff. There is Eddie was working on Lesnar's knee. That's one of the best parts. Lesnar was selling like a champ. Good for him. This
is probably my second favorite Lesnar match.
But there'd be like there's at least
this is my first favorite Lesnar.
Kurt Angle WrestleMania 19.
And there was at least
I like this one a little more.
there was about at least 4 or 5 different times where Eddie kept getting cut off, and I'm thinking to myself, if I'm in that crowd, I'm exhausted, especially after the first frog splash. I'm like, I don't know, what's going to happen. Like, jeez, I'm not sitting here in this. So finally, when he wins, no wonder he got a huge pop.
We're marking out.
So, yeah, and even as veterans as we are of this, like and we know what happens. I'm like, got him, finally got him. Like this, like,
it's still classic to this day, and that's how you know that this is an epic moment.
Yeah, that's where that point I was making about everybody like, oh, nobody thought Eddie was going to win, but when Goldberg hit the spear and Eddie went for the pin, everybody thought he was going to win.
And he kicked out.
But the moment he kicks out, everyone's like, okay, maybe he doesn't win. And then Brock comes back and they do the comeback. You don't really realize that Eddie's going to win until that DDT spot happens. And it's like, wait.
Yeah.
They're actually going to do this.
And who knows?
And then still, you're like, it's Brock Lesnar, though. You're like,
there's been so many
kick out.
Yeah, and who knows? Maybe Eddie was up for the 5 frog. Well, actually, nowadays, what would happen is Eddie would go for the frog splash. Brock Lesnar would suddenly stand up and catch him into
the fucking F5.
F5 and boo.
But like when he kicked out of the spear,
or even catch him for a fucking soup belly to belly at that point,
or something.
I understand multiple reasons they had him kick out of the spear because they wanted to add to the drama of the match, and they didn't want him to win on some cheap shit. They wanted to win on his own merit, which is what he did when he hit the DDT and he hit the frog splash. But it's like that moment's like, okay, maybe Brock will still win. Like Goldberg tried to fuck him up and didn't.
Yeah. I give the match a 9.
I gave it a 10 because it's classic. It's fucking. It's an emotional roller coaster. You're just watching it the whole time, going, "We know what happens," and you're just like,
"It still gives you those goosebumps."
It'd be this fucking great.
You still get the goosebumps from watching it.
You do, and I love it.
But I give it a 9.5. It would be a 10 had they did my version of the Goldberg angle. It would have been a 10.
You're giving it a 9.5 because
they didn't book it the way I wanted it.
Who the hell do you think you are, fucking Adam Blampier?
I'm just booking it. I'm just saying it's you can't be mad at me for giving it a 9.5.
All of this resembles WrestleMania 10 with the Bret Hart Owen Hart kind of storyline where it's a family dysfunction. And the one Guerrero says, or the one Hart says he's better than the other. Except, and so in this case, the same thing. Guerrero said he's better than Eddie, and at one point he was.
Chavo,
Owen beat Bret, and then Chavo won the Cruiserweight title, while Eddie doesn't have a title yet.
It's like, fuck you, I'm going to win the
and then Bret Hart wins the world title, and Eddie wins the world title. So it's the same kind of thing.
Here, I'm going to go back to my point about why it's a 9.5 because they didn't book it my way. You're booking it as a 10. You book a match as a 10, you're saying it can't be better. I'm telling you how it could have been better. That's why it's not a 10.
But I'm like the moment, the fact that he runs to his mom afterwards.
Yes, like all the moments.
Someone throws out the fucking Mexican flag and he's holding it and he's crying. He's genuinely crying.
And you brought it up. Well, you brought up earlier that we're going to do WrestleMania 20, and you brought it up. This is my second favorite Eddie moment because the other one is when he's in the ring with Benoit at the end of WrestleMania 20.
Amazing.
But that was more of Benoit's moment than Eddie's.
And if I made the other one point that this could have had, I'm going to give it to that because to me this brings up my favorite WrestleMania moment is when Eddie Guerrero and Benoit are out there along the confetti and they're just hugging each other. It's great.
Well, and like I said before, like
which will never be talked about ever again.
Until we do it.
WrestleMania
20 at the end of WrestleMania 20. That's when we start off the workhorse era, I think, and that's from WrestleMania 20 all the way into the Great American Bash when Eddie loses. Because
I say at least SummerSlam.
Well, you got to
Benoit's still champion going into SummerSlam.
I call it the workhorse rate because both belts had a workhorse, a top 10. You had Eddie and Benoit.
True. I will say JBL and Undertaker from SummerSlam sucked dick.
Well, plus JBL winning the title is a big ass downgrade in the match work rate department.
But we were just talking up JBL earlier.
But there's also a great character.
Right. I was about to say. I mean, he's working in other ways.
He's got the character work down, but match quality, he's not as good as Eddie. Eddie can pull off a fucking match with a broom.
Or a mop.
Well, imagine if they did a champions versus champions match against Eddie and Chris Benoit at the time that they were both champs.
Just forget about it. Wrestling's over.
10-star match done.
But we are going to move on to No Mercy 05.
Yes.
See y'all later.
We will be back soon.
And we're back.
We're here. Let's go.
No Mercy 05.
No mercy to no mercy.
Eddie Guerrero's last title match /
last pay-per-view. /
38th birthday.
/ last pay-per-view.
I saved the shot for you, Eddie.
You motherfucker. Where's my
where's
shot?
his?
Let's get another one.
Yeah, pour another one, damn it.
Hey, easy killer.
Oh,
No, yeah, I am.
Easy killer.
Legend killer.
But you go in while we're doing
All right.
this.
So the first match we opened it up with is Eminem versus Christy Hemme and LOD. Heidenreich does a good clothesline to Nitro. Eminem are working over Animal's shoulder as Animal has his shoulder taped up. Mercury slams Animal's shoulder onto the rope, while then Molina head scissors Animal. Good spot for Animal. Animal does a slam to Mercury. Nitro jumped at Heidenreich, who was outside of the ring, and hit the barricade. Hit his arm on the barricade. Animal tagged in Christy Hemme, and they did a heart attack to Molina. Then there was an attempted Hurricane Rana from Christy that didn't look very good.
No, not
to
really,
Molina.
No. I mean,
Then Animal hikes up Molina on his shoulders, and Christy Hemme and him do the Doomsday Device to Molina. So Christy Hemme and LOD win.
okay, so I'm just gonna point over to Albert over here. How do you feel about LOD 2005 versus Eminem?
Oh, good lord. LOD right now looks horrible. Okay, look. I'm not a big LOD fan.
You hate them.
Yeah. But I do appreciate what they meant for the business, and they got tag teams on the map. I get that. Don't worry about that. But in this version, it's Heidenreich.
Well, this is the worst version of LOD, I will say that.
What? It wasn't LOD 2000 because that was pretty bad too.
Yeah, it was even LOD 2000 wasn't great.
LOD 2000 was fine because for the half of it, it was him and Hawk. But then when Draws got introduced and they tried to kick Hawk out, that was stupid.
Yeah. Hawk had his issues with drugs and all that stuff by then.
Well,
so.
everybody had their issues with drugs.
Well, he did too. Well, he did, so.
Well, plus, Hawk had issues with drugs in the 90s. I mean, shit. They said at SummerSlam 92, he came out fucking stoned.
But they did it because it's fucking LOD.
And he was able to ride a fucking motorcycle to the ring.
Yeah, and they did it because fucking LOD. And in 92, LOD was fucking LOD.
Yeah. So in this match...
also, I agree. Heidenreich sucks ass.
Yeah.
He never should have even smelt what LOD was.
And
LOD sucks
so there's
too.
there's two things I want to say. One of the ladies got the pops here. Don't get it twisted.
I'm pretty sure it's Christy.
Just because Animal decided to do his thumbs up to say we're doing the Doomsday Device and the crowd pop, it wasn't because it was him doing it. It was because they're going to put Molina up on his shoulders and him was going to freaking pop her with the fucking clothesline or whatever it was.
It was the Doomsday Device.
Yeah, the clothesline off the top rope.
This still wasn't that far from the last show that we watched, and they were still doing the Playboy things around this time.
Yeah, they were doing the Playboy things, but this has nothing to do with that.
I know it has nothing to do with that, but I'm just saying, like, that's the kind of women that were running the show right now.
I think the reason why the fans popped so much about Molina getting the Doomsday Device is on the apron, she was doing quite a bit of screaming whenever her guys were
Right, you were yelling
getting
at somebody.
beat.
It was fucking
It was annoying.
It was Molina.
So, but I felt bad for Morrison and Mercury because they're a great team. Two great talents. And they're the guys taking all the bumps. They weren't even there at the end. They were gone. You didn't see anything for the last, 3 minutes of the match. They was on the outside.
No, they hit the fucking electric tower or whatever the fuck they call it now.
And I was like, it's a joke of a match. I'm sorry.
The Doomsday Device.
I mean, what would you rate it, though?
2. And that's because the chicks got pops. I'm sorry. It's because Melina and Christy Hemme got pops and they were over and that was the focus of the match and that's all I can give it. Everything else was horrible. And also because Eminem was just mistreated.
And you?
I can't go. I'll give her a 3. But I'm very, very low on it.
See, I'm a little bit nicer. My average
Of course
is
you
about...
are.
My
Of
average
course
is
you
about okay.
Of course you're nicer.
I say most time you get in the fucking ring, you can get a 5.
We already talked about this. You make it to the ring, your graphics are right. You just fucking do your match and leave. It's like a 5.
I gave it a 6. Because the women did okay for what they did.
You're wrong.
So
you're horribly
then
wrong.
we had Batista and Eddie Guerrero backstage, and they both wished each other good luck.
Yeah,
it's weird because
with tension.
Yeah.
Oh, my favorite thing about this because Eddie comes up and he goes up to this. Just want to wish you good luck tonight, and then Batista gets all sarcastic about it. Yeah, good luck to you too.
True.
It's just like, all right,
Then-
I like it.
Yeah, then we had the Instant Access segment number 1 with the winners of the pre-show.
This
With
happens.
LOD and Christy
This,
Hemme.
this happens way
Well,
too
no,
much.
LOD and Christy Hemme versus Eminem was not pre-show.
I
That was-
That was
in
the
the show.
opening of the show. We didn't have a pre-show match.
No, there's no pre-show match on this.
We're so conditioned to have pre-shows. I just assumed it was.
Which makes it worse than the pre-show we had last month.
Ugh.
So
Wow.
then we get into Simon Dean versus Bobby Lashley.
Yeah, okay, wait, let me explain. This guy was talking about the Legion of Doom versus Eminem match being the pre-show. Now, if that was the pre-show,
What would
this
this
would have
be?
opened the main
Oh.
show.
This would have opened the pre-show.
So how does that make you feel?
Oh.
This is Bobby Lashley's first pay-per-view appearance.
So Simon Dean comes out and says Houston is the fattest city in America.
I mean, that was true at the time. It was actually in the newspaper. He wasn't lying.
He had 20 double cheeseburgers and said, if I lose to Bobby Lashley, I will eat these 20 double
And
cheeseburgers.
I had to prove to both of you that they were actually double cheeseburgers.
No, you didn't have to prove to me.
No, I had to
didn't
prove
really
to
give a
him.
They
that-
look like a quarter pounder that you get from McDonald's, and it's like squished by half.
No, they were very squished, but I
I
saw
can see-
multiple sandwiches when he came out, when his little chef person came out to the ring, and we could both make sandwiches better than he does. We
For
have
sure.
those fucking. I saw a couple of them.
Well,
that you
okay,
could see two
if you
pens.
look at the bonus features of that disc, it's literally Simon Dean buys the burgers at like a fucking McDonald's because he's
Like I
on
said-
he's in a drive-through on a Segway.
they're both. I'm
It's
saying
awesome.
like they're both sesame seeded. And I worked at Burger King, so I know we at one point we had sesame seed buns.
They
I
still
want
do.
to say they were fucking McDonald's buns, though. That they looked a little bit more sesame seedy than
But
the
anyways,
BK buns were.
this match, Bobby Lashley does a
And who the fuck likes sesame seeds?
double underhook suplex to Simon Dean.
That was actually good.
Dean threw a couple cheeseburgers to distract the referee.
I mean,
Simon Dean grabs the tray.
I
and hits
remember-
Lashley with the tray.
He's like,
He
fuck
no
you.
sells it.
He's like, fuck you. Cool.
Lashley attempts a dominator, drops Dean,
See, now,
picks him
Wait,
up
wait,
again,
wait.
does the dominator, and pins him.
okay,
1,
I
2,
wanna
3.
I want to talk about this because you're going to talk about ratings in a second. My rating is instantly a star higher. I mean, not a star. 1 rating higher if he actually catches him clean.
The first time, yeah, that'd
If
be
he
great.
catches him clean, doesn't fucking fall over backwards and drop his ass,
Yeah.
it would be a star higher just because it did what it was supposed to. But the moment he dropped him and then hit it, I was like, okay, you went from like a 3.5 to a 2.5.
Bobby Lashley wins, obviously.
And we get to see more and more of this.
Albert,
Let-
what do you got for
let-
rating? Or what do you got for notes,
So,
actually?
I thought it was funny when Simon says, he
Simon
says,
says that was his whole
Simon
catchphrase.
says Houston's the fattest city, and the crowd boos him. He goes, "Oh wow, fatties!" You know, I just
did
thought that
hear
was funny.
Like I
And-
said, it was true. It's not like they're making up facts. Like, this is shit that actually showed up in some papers.
Hey, fair enough. The Lashley showed off some good power moves at the beginning, just like shoulder tackles and
The
that kind of
young
stuff. And,
Lashley that looks exactly the same now.
he does
minus the trunk color.
the shoulder into the body in the turnbuckle. I always like that move. Even when Brock does it, I think it looks really cool. Even though he does it a lot, because that's all Brock can do sometimes. But that's all he needs to do sometimes.
yeah, except for when Goldberg doesn't sell it.
Well, yeah.
We
But
talked about that
everything else
already.
was pretty much what Chris said. This match, it got Lashley over, and he looked good. He looked good beating somebody up, and he has a storyline throughout the show.
And to be fair, we're still 2 years, like a year and a half removed from when he actually gets the title match against Cena.
Yeah.
So
And I guess I'm gonna just have to go with Chris. When sometimes you just get in the ring and it is what it is, and I'm gonna go 5.
I'm giving it 3.5. I'm giving it 3. I said 2.5. I'm gonna give it 3. I would have given it a 4, but he didn't catch him. I just don't. The Simon Dean stuff is funny. I just remember the moment he came out, I was like, oh yeah, this fucking asshole.
Honestly, I'm doing what I normally wouldn't do. I'm giving it a 4 just because of the botch catch.
See, he's
If
close.
he would have caught it, I would have given it a straight 5.
I
Because
would've
that
gi-
would have been impressive as hell, but he didn't.
But that's
catch
the thing
him.
I'm saying. You're giving me Bobby Lashley, and at this point, nobody else would fuck. Like I said, it's his first, and we'll get this later too.
First pay-per-view match.
He's
a
not
green-
the
he's a
only. It's not the
greenhorn.
only one we're gonna talk about.
Greenhorn.
His first pay-per-view match, it's fucking Bobby Lashley, Simon Dean. Like this if this is my first pay-per-view match, I'd be pissed because fucking Simon Dean is
And
worthless.
cheeseburgers are your prop.
And cheeseburgers are the prop. And we get to that later.
All over and over again.
Well, except for after the match, Bobby Lashley does stuff a cheeseburger in Dean's mouth. And
Yeah, but he
goes,
counts it as one, but he didn't fucking eat the thing.
He just like
And
shoves
then
it
we'll
in
get to
mouth.
that later too.
Well,
But the point I'm getting at is Bobby Lashley's supposed to be this big guy, and it's weird, and it's gonna be weird. It's Black Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, pretty much.
What push did you give Brock when he showed up?
Monster.
What push are you giving Bobby Lashley when he showed up? Oh, I'm gonna beat this health conscious guy who rides a Segway to the ring,
and I'll bully him into eating cheeseburgers.
Well, I mean, don't get me wrong. You got to think about what the roster had at the time. They had a split roster.
I don't even care.
You wouldn't have been able to give them any better.
Okay.
Otherwise, you don't want to.
Okay. Argument. What's Bobby Lashley doing now? Don't say U.S. champion.
Hurt business.
He's hurt business.
With
he is
MVP
the U.S.
and Benjamin.
champion, but god damn, is it not good?
It is. It's fine. But
I mean, Benjamin, like the hurt business is fine. I just think the story is dumb.
The story is dumb, but who else would
Any story that's taking place on Raw Underground is dumb.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And this is what he's doing 16 years later.
But like, look at Brock's first pay-per-view opponent. Brock had fucking Jeff Hardy.
I don't give a shit. That's fine.
Simon, like fucking Bobby Lashley didn't have that big of a choice of the
Jeff
SmackDown roster.
Jeff Hardy's not Simon Dean. I'll tell you that fucking much.
That's what was his point.
Yeah, my point is Bobby Lashley didn't really have much he could choose from of people that were quote-unquote heels at the time.
What are they doing now?
Well, they've given him Nunzio?
And that would have been better than fucking Simon Dean.
I don't know. They would have just squashed him too.
Yeah, the squash part's not the problem. You're squashing somebody that's meant to be squashed. If you give me a Simon Dean match against anybody, like Triple H, 15 minutes, is it going to be any good? No, it isn't.
I don't know, man.
Triple H and Shelton Benjamin, great match. I don't see the point in Simon Dean and the follow segments because that made it even worse. Yeah. Which is why my rating is where it's at.
I mean, I'm giving it a 4 just because Lashley fucking dropped him. If he would have just been able to keep him up and just did it,
I don't disagree with that. That is actually true. Like I said, I would have gave it probably a 4 too. But
we had
it's not great.
We had Jillian Hall and JBL with Steve Romero, and JBL pretty much was just talking about. This
is actually good.
JBL's a great interview. He's eloquent. He speaks well. He makes just some.
It's not great for the right reason.
He makes some stupid racist shit about like calling Rey Mysterio a Mexican jumping bean, but he's good at talking shit and getting people to watch his matches
and hate him.
And and especially he get.
I never laughed so hard to see Rey Mysterio just start speaking Spanish for like a minute straight.
And then Rey comes up and starts speaking Spanish, and like all you hear is like JBL saying, "This is America. Speak English." Essentially,
that's what he did say. I think
pretty much exactly what he said.
And then Ray says something along the lines of, "I got this mask for you. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm going to face you tonight or whatever it is. But I know I'm going to beat you and you're going to be embarrassed. So here's a mask to hide your face."
And he says no, and it's like, "Oh, I know somebody who will need it."
And he hits the Jillian and they're freaking.
Well, I don't want to talk about. I don't
whatever the fuck is on her face.
That fake prosthetic that they used for like 6 months.
Then we have second backstage segment with the instant access. Obviously, the winners are going to be back there, and Lashley's back there with Teddy Long. No sign of burgers yet, but that's yet to come. So
yeah, Lashley shows up 5 times on the show.
So we got a
he's Flip Gordon.
flip.
We got a Fatal 4-Way match for the U.S. title. Chris Benoit versus Orlando Jordan versus Booker T versus Christian. First and foremost, Charmel comes out and introduces Booker because it is his hometown of Houston, Texas. Mm-hmm. So that was fine.
Booker.
So Orlando Jordan and Christian start teaming up on Booker T after they knock Benoit out of the ring. Booker does a side kick to Jordan. So there's a crossface to Jordan from Benoit. Benoit is suplexing Jordan and Christian. Benoit attempts a sharpshooter to Christian, but it doesn't work. Booker T does his top rope drop kick to Christian. Benoit does a belly to belly to Christian to the outside. Jordan comes in and just chokes Booker in the ropes. Benoit and Christian then fall off the top rope after Booker T is thrown into them by Orlando Jordan. Mm. Then Booker T does a nice spine buster to Orlando Jordan. Spinneroonie.
Had to.
Booker does a scissors kick to Orlando Jordan. We get Unprettier attempt number 1 by Christian to Benoit, but it does not work.
Attempt number 2.
No, this is the first time.
1 and 2 happened back to back.
Then there's the German to Christian by Benoit. Jordan gets launched into Booker T by Benoit. German to Christian by Benoit again. Then the 3 Germans in a row to Christian. Diving headbutt gets reversed. Benoit does the crossface to Christian. Benoit does a sharpshooter to Christian, and Christian taps out. So Chris Benoit defends the U.S. title.
My first immediate comment is, and nobody's going to be an hour and a half into this podcast by this time, but please look up a picture of Teddy Bridgewater, the quarterback for the Carolina Panthers right now, and tell me Orlando Jordan does not have Teddy Bridgewater's face. Because I swear to fucking God.
Well, that's if you end up putting a picture of Orlando Jordan on this page.
I don't give a shit. People look it up. Orlando Jordan, on the left, Orlando Jordan, on the right, Teddy Bridgewater.
Make sure you look up Orlando Jordan, WWE, not TNA.
Or go watch this fucking match. Because that's what we're talking about. But it looks like fucking Teddy Bridgewater, at least in this match.
So what are your notes on this one, Albert?
I went to look back. And I'm sorry.
You took your audio notes.
You didn't go back on this.
And I forgot all about it.
Well, Christian attempted 3 Unprettiers.
The third one was the worst because he did it with one fucking arm.
Oh, yeah, because
the stupidest fucking
Benoit
thing.
had tried to get him in the the crossface so many fucking times.
He couldn't do it the first time. He couldn't do it the second time. Ended up in the crossface, I think. But when it came to the third time, he had one arm, and he got put in the fucking sharpshooter.
I'm pretty much, I had the same thing in line with what you had. The finish was the weird part, because it was a sharpshooter out of nowhere.
I had a bigger issue with why Charmel was so pissed at Booker T for losing.
Well, that was my next point, is that it's just going to lead to Booker T's heel turn at some point. And I'm not sure why I did it either, because it's not like Booker T... Charmel quoted, "He made you lose," which is like, it's just...
He didn't make anybody lose. He made
Christian
lose.
Tap. And so, if anything, you're mad at Christian for tapping out?
Well, the thing is Charmel is pissed at this point in time because Booker didn't win the title.
Yeah.
But
she's
technically,
basically being irrational.
Benoit wins for himself. He doesn't win to make Booker lose.
Well, Benoit wins for himself because that's what any champion should do.
That's what anybody in general, any wrestler in general should try to do. They shouldn't try to lose.
Or any sports team with any issues is you win to win.
Yeah, if you try to lose, then your guys are fucked.
Like, put it this way. If, let's say, Kirk Cousins and Adam Thielen and Justin Jefferson used the new guy with Minnesota. If Jefferson got pissed because he didn't throw a touchdown to him, but he threw a touchdown to Thielen, like, what the fuck?
Diggs.
Oh, well, that's what Diggs did. Exactly what I'm getting at. But the point I'm getting at is that if you're pissed that we won because you didn't get the winning score, then you're a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
And this has nothing to do with that because you're all individuals, but, like, neither one...
Everyone should be in it to win it. That's what we're saying.
Yeah.
It's a team effort. In this match, nobody's a team effort, so why the fuck does Booker T give a shit?
No, why does Charmel give a shit? Booker's just like, what the fuck?
And it comes up later, too.
But anyways, what would you rate it?
That match actually was pretty average. I'd say it's a 6 at best.
It's not as good as the Fatal 4-Way the next year.
I will say this, though. Seeing Booker T and Chris Benoit being over, I thought they would be there at the end. And instead of Booker T being out on the floor, but I played into the storyline with Charmel and Booker.
I'm actually okay with the way they went with it at the end because Christian's about a month and a half away from being out of here anyways.
So he took the fall.
I would have preferred Jordan was the one who tapped out.
The point I'm getting at is knowing that Christian leaves anyways, it just adds to the frustration that Christian's going to leave.
Yeah,
anyways.
no, I get that.
Yeah,
knowing that it becomes Christian Cage and becomes one of the biggest stars in history.
I thought it was a pretty typical Fatal 4-Way multi-man match that WWE has. Like I said, a 6 is about right.
No, I'm not this. I'm
so
6. I wasn't off on that.
See, and I went 7 on it just because like they didn't do anything
at the end for
They didn't do anything that was like outstanding, but at the same time they didn't do anything that was terrible.
Yeah, I think everybody in there did what they do best.
Like I said, I think the Fatal 4 for the World
Everybody
title,
had their spot. Let's put that way.
Pay-per-view is better.
Well,
or the next No Way Out. Later.
Yeah, I mean, it's for a fucking world title.
Doesn't matter. We've seen triple threats, Fatal 4-Ways that are better for secondary titles.
True, but how often does that happen? Not very.
In WWE, a lot more than you think.
So, Albert, after this, was it a Simon Dean eating burgers
segment?
Oh, yeah.
Eat them.
The
Eat 'em.
first
You,
time.
you said
was,
you're going to make... Yes, this is the first appearance of the Lashley, Simon Dean...
My issue with this
burger eating storyline.
My issue with this is it doesn't make me like Lashley more.
It doesn't make you hate him more, but it doesn't make you like him.
It kind of does.
Look,
The storyline was dumb.
2005 Lashley shouldn't make a difference to what he's doing now. So you
Wait,
gotta.
well, let's explain it like this. And again, I'm doing a storyline because they keep talking about Brock and Lashley doing a thing, which they haven't done. My issue is saying I call him the Black Lesnar. Lesnar got pushed to the moon, and he went to the moon, and he stayed there. They never did that here, even though Jim Ross, when he hired him, is exactly what he wanted to do.
But here they're miscasting him as something being funny.
Well, plus you gotta think about it from when you were viewing it then.
They put him in here, and then they put him deeper in here, deeper.
But you can't blame Jim Ross for that. The second he signs him, his part of that is over.
But like I said, it went from here to 2007. A year and a half later, it took to even give him remotely the credibility.
Sure.
To give him the world title.
Right. He went through ECW, and then all this.
This is before ECW. Because he went through this.
This is before ECW.
He did this. He did some other stuff, and then he did this thing with fucking Finley.
He was literally okay.
And then he did this thing at WrestleMania 23 with Umaga.
If you want to hear it, if you want to hear in perspective. So this No Way Out show, he's in this squash match with Simon Dean.
I'm not wrong.
1 year later, he's main eventing against Booker, Finley, and Batista.
In that fatal four-way that I brought up.
That's what's happening. But you have to look at it if you were watching this like for the very first time. This storyline is not going to make you do anything but say, whatever, who cares?
Hey, if I saw...
That's all I'm going to say.
If I saw this jacked fucking guy, Bobby Lashley, just like if I saw him now, if I saw this jacked guy, Bobby Lashley, like he's facing this weasel-ass doofus who's a health nut riding a fucking Segway to the ring, like, okay, this guy's garbage.
By the way, a health nut wouldn't be needing to ride a Segway. He would want to run to the ring.
He's not wrong.
Outstanding.
Like, there's an argument to be had. They fucked up Bobby Lashley straight up.
Then
they had him job the John Cena at Great American Bash anyway.
They didn't make him job. He had a great match.
But what happened afterwards? He jobbed everybody else, and then he was gone.
No, he got injured, and then the fact is after that,
and he was gone from the company.
Vince's wife his wife got fired, and Lashley was pissed. So then he walked out.
Again, he was gone from the company. That's
because Vince fired his wife.
Doesn't matter. He should have beat Cena at Great American Bash. That should have happened.
Yeah, but if his wife was getting fired, who the fuck cares?
At this time, I'm saying in that particular moment, he should have won.
So after he...
That's how I would have looked at it.
So after Simon Dean's struggling with the
cheeseburgers... And now I don't give a shit about Bobby Lashley.
We go to another... the last of the instant access, which I think is why they cut it off, because it's like, who cares?
And I'll get to
Benoit
the rest.
walks in.
I'll get to the rest of my Bobby Lashley rant, because I do have more to say. When we get to the
next know something about it.
That's exactly what I say. Who cares about these instant access segments?
Yeah, because they don't say anything.
It's WWE Backstage. That's basically what it is. It's WWE Backstage. Yeah. It's WWE Backstage before WWE Backstage existed, and they said it's exclusive to the website. Cool.
I remember
what WWE I don't care about going to WWE.com and being like,
and it's basically
what does Bobby Lashley say about his match?
It's exactly what Twitter. It's what they do on Twitter. That's what it is.
Well, back in the 80s, they had those hotlines. Same thing. Talk to WWE superstar who just got out of their match. Like, no.
Like
who they cares?
Never doing
that. This is exactly what Twitter
I'm watching
is.
the next match. I don't give a fuck what they say.
What did these people say? They give you like a 1.5-minute interview on Twitter. That's exactly what this is.
Yeah, it's like, who fucking cares?
I think sometimes you get some story development, but most of the time it's like, I won, fuck you.
But then you get Ken Kennedy versus Hardcore Holly.
Second Hardcore Holly match of the night.
Kennedy comes onto the mic and does his typical intro.
This goes with my Lashley argument. This is a better pay-per-view debut for somebody that I hate.
I'll agree with that.
Than somebody that I actually like.
She's about Kennedy, okay.
Kennedy's first pay-per-view was also No Mercy 05, and this is so much better, especially with the Booker T bit
I'll
later.
agree with that, but you gotta think. WWE was probably like, fucking, Vince was probably jerking it off, thinking, this is gonna make Lashley look good, such good shit.
See, you're not wrong. I'm saying Vince probably thought this should help Lashley more, but I think
But Kennedy, who gives a fuck about Simon Dean eating a goddamn cheeseburger?
Kennedy comes out of this show looking better than Lashley does. And I guarantee you that's not the way Vince rolls.
I agree. But Kennedy faces Holly. First off, Kennedy gets on the mic and does his whole shtick. Green Bay, Wisconsin, Mr. Kennedy.
Even though he's from Minneapolis,
Kennedy.
Minnesota. Or at least he is billed now from Minneapolis, Minnesota.
So then Holly does a nice suplex to Kennedy. Holly does a nice drop kick to Kennedy. Holly does a lot of hard chops to Kennedy, like, throughout this whole match.
There's a lot of things that are hard in this match.
There's a
And I'm not talking about it.
There's a teardrop suplex to Holly from Kennedy, which I believe was a potato. Well, not a potato. It was
There's a lot of potatoes.
Sandbag.
Sandbags and potatoes happening in this match.
Kennedy does a clothesline to Holly. Holly does a backdrop to Kennedy. There's a full Nelson slam to Kennedy from Hardcore Holly. Holly does his move where he's got Kennedy on the rope, lifts him up in the air, and kicks him in the gut. So Kennedy wins with the Green Bay Pounce, which is pretty much just like a Samoan drop from the top rope.
The only things I
Going
like...
forward.
Yeah. The only things I like about Kennedy is that finisher and his intro. It's like, Canada.
I like the fact that the dude can cut a promo.
I don't like his wrestling ability, though. And it ruins it.
I don't mind him.
He's fine. Like I said, I'm a Randy Orton fan, so it's weird for me to say this. I think Kennedy's boring.
I don't mind Kennedy at all.
I think
the only thing that's so weird though is the fact that if you just look at their builds and their hair color, it's like they look similar.
Well, in this match, fucking Hardcore Holly's going bald.
Yes, he is.
Especially since we just watched the match from a year and a half earlier, and he had a full.
But there are a lot of fucking potatoes and haymakers. Like they're just hitting each other stiff. There's receipts.
Yep.
Which is not necessarily a great thing you want in your debut pay-per-view.
So Holly and Kennedy are obviously not matching well, and they're pissed off at each other.
Yeah. With what we know about Kennedy,
and what ends up happening, because he almost got cut because of the part of the reason he got cut between the interview he did about steroids and the Randy Orton bit
is that he was declared deemed unsafe.
Yeah. Because Randy Orton really helped that bit.
Yeah. It wasn't this match, obviously, but like I think Kennedy did okay. He took the receipts. I doubt he got mad about it.
Well, it's his first pay-per-view match. He's got to take it.
Yeah, but even in the ring, it didn't look like it was a big deal. They still were going from their spot to spot. But Kennedy was doing his heel stuff. Holly was doing his power moves. I think Holly got his shoulder busted up, so they sold that. And but really, the match was pretty much paint by numbers. It wasn't anything extraordinary to me.
I just think we were talking about
even what happened afterwards was really like, meh.
We talk about all the backstage segments that happen.
Well, see, I'm not talking about the afterwards part of it yet, because that part literally reminds me of a fucking episode of SmackDown, not a fucking pay-per-view.
I don't even care. Like the point I'm getting is like the whole this goes back to my Bobby Lashley thing. The match didn't help Lashley. This
match helped Kennedy.
Helps Kennedy,
but
the backstage segments definitely don't help Lashley. The backstage segment here
helps Kennedy.
Really does. I actually really like that backstage.
Yeah, there was nothing really that I mean, besides all the potatoes and stuff. I mean, you could see. I know the first one was Kennedy really got Holly right in the freaking chin or somewhere in the head with a punch, and I was like, ooh, he got him stiff there. And later there's a drop kick right to, I think there's a kick or something right back to Kennedy's face. And then, and then there's a couple of you might have wrote them down, Chris, because I didn't. I just wrote down both these guys were kind of stiff, and there was some receipts and everything.
And let's just clearly explain that potato is when you hit someone hard and for real.
Actually fucking punch him in the face.
A receipt is when they
whether
get
it's
you
intentional
back
or not.
For that potato.
The potato is whether it's intentional or
a
not.
sandbag, and a sandbag is when someone lifts you up to do a move and you don't cooperate.
Like Goldberg in the first show
right.
that we watched. You watched that. I told you. I pointed it out. And you're like, oh shit.
I'm gonna say this match was a 5. Yeah.
I don't disagree.
I like hard hitting affairs, so I gave it a 7.
You gave it a 7, but like I said, the hard hitting affairs shouldn't have been so hard hitting.
They shouldn't have been. I agree with you. Like
the point is
if it wasn't as hard hitting, I would have probably given it like a 6.5.
I'm also looking at it in the way where it's like, if you know it shouldn't have happened, then that hurts it. If I see a hard hitting thing that looks like it shouldn't have happened, which is some of the shit that happens in this match, I'm gonna downgrade it for that. Because you can be hard hitting while also maintaining what you're supposed to do.
Definitely. If
I can see and identify potatoes, I'm like, well, that clearly wasn't supposed to be a thing.
You can just tell that Holly's pissed.
Exactly, though. Like, that's what I'm getting at. It's like, if I can tell that these things are happening, it's not actually the story of the match, that actually pulls me out.
Then the stupid part happens where Hardcore Holly is hurt and the refs and trainers are trying to get in there, and Hardcore Holly attempts to punch one of them.
This is great, actually.
And he goes, "I don't need any damn help."
And then he rolls out of the ring, and he's like, "You're supposed to be helping me."
He goes, "You're supposed to be helping me."
He gets mad at the people in the ring and says, "I don't need your help." And he rolls out of the ring 5 seconds later. He's like, "You're supposed to be helping me."
I forgot about that part.
Then Sylvain comes out.
The EDM gay guy comes out.
And Sylvain walks up to Holly, and at first he looks like he's going to attempt to help him, but then Holly swings at him. So he's like, "Fuck you, I'm going to start kicking your ass."
So yeah, pretty sure that's always the intention.
Well, definitely, but
he definitely kicks his ass.
He attempts to make it
look like he's trying to help. He definitely kicks his ass, but it definitely wasn't.
I will say this:
helping him get over.
On a fucking pay-per-view, we don't need this type of part. This part didn't need to happen on a pay-per-view.
You could have had that triple threat of the fatal four-way go longer.
Otherwise, what are you fucking building to? You could have, if you wanted to do this thing with Sylvain, make it a triple threat.
So here's the thing. I that's not actually a bad idea, but here's the thing. You do this spot, the problem I have is you're investing that fans give a shit about Hardcore Holly. You're also investing the fact that people give a shit about Sylvain, but if people gave a shit about Hardcore Holly, if it was fucking, say, Brock Lesnar, people care.
Or Rey Mysterio.
No, Rey Mysterio works. If Rey Mysterio is being helped to the back and people give a shit, and then Sylvain comes out and kicks his shit in, they're probably going to boo his ass out of the building. This is Hardcore Holly. He had no reaction during the entire match, and you're still going to do an angle where you're trying to get this guy over as a fucking heel, and nobody gives a shit. If it was, like I said, Rey Mysterio would have been good.
Like I said, I just don't, I don't understand it, because what the fuck are you building to when you're on an actual pay-per-view?
You should build
to the pay-per-view, not build on the pay-per-view to
the point,
what? SmackDown?
So here's the point I get. We're looking at the show before Survivor Series. So if we're looking at a company that does 12 shows a year, where they do 4 mains and 2 in-betweens. They're usually 1-1 at this point in time.
Yep.
They do 1-1. So using the one between the big 4, I get what they're doing. The point is, it doesn't work here.
No matter what the fucking next pay-per-view is, I don't care if the next pay-per-view is SmackDown exclusive, Big 4.
I can use the point
You're not going to throw Sylvain and Hardcore Holly on a fucking pay-per-view unless it's a pre-show match.
I get why they do this, because there's reasons why I say Unforgiven 05 when Kurt Angle and John Cena end in a disqualification. Because they're going
builds to the next show at least.
I'm saying they're going to Survivor Series. There's a reason they do things on these quote-unquote, because WWE is the way they are, B-show pay-per-views.
Just this thing would gather no interest.
WWE looks their way at B-show pay-per-views as being ways like titles don't have to change hands, stories can progress, no story's going to end.
So it's like an extension of the TV shows.
Basically. That's exactly what B-show shows are.
But it's fucking stupid.
Yeah, I don't agree with it either.
They're shows that are above the quality of the TV show they give you for free because title matches and shit happen. But nothing actually has to happen on them. They just want your money.
Okay, at this point in time on the fucking pay-per-view, minus the Fatal 4-Way, you'd be fucking looking at an episode of SmackDown.
Well, that's the point I'm getting. All this, all these B-show shows.
And you paid $50 or whatever the fuck the price was.
That's what I'm getting at.
Or the ticket or whatever.
Which is why I'm looking at all these B-show pay-per-views. I'm like, fuck it, dude. That's why AEW does their live TV. They'll do the Fight for the Fallen and shit. But it's still live free TV. They're not charging people. They do 4 pay-per-views a year, and it's done.
So, Albert, after this particular match, was there another Simon Dean burger segment?
I'm pretty sure.
Oh, yeah. The grossest one of
Is this
them all.
One where they're done with the burgers?
Where he's got the big fucking hair in it.
Okay. He picks up a burger, and he's like, okay. And he pulls out a hair.
This is where he pulls the hair.
He pulls out a strand.
Or whatever.
It's not even just like a singular hair. He pulls out 12 of them put together.
Oh, and then
if you found this amount of food or this amount of fucking hair in your burger, someone's obviously shedding.
And Bobby Lashley just fucking eat it.
He did. He said eat it.
So
like,
and then Sharmell
fucking
continues to berate Booker T.
This is like I said. This
Kennedy.
helps Kennedy.
Yeah.
I just don't like Kennedy.
So first of all, Sharmell's still going along with the idea that Benoit is not winning for you, and
Benoit
you should be,
made you lose.
you should made you lose. And then Kennedy comes over and says, "I am here. I made history today. My first pay-per-view. I won. I'm a winner." Walks off. You're a loser. You know, kind of like how the can you dig that sucker kind of thing. I thought it was kind of funny.
I just don't see how like.
Plus, he kind of sounded like Jim Carrey when he said that part.
But this is also the problem. Like I said, I brought it up. You're doing two people on the same show doing the same first time on the show, and you got Lashley, who should be built as a fucking superstar, who still hasn't been built as a superstar, but should be built as a superstar from the start. And then you got Kennedy, who also could be built as a superstar, but when Kennedy comes out ahead, I'm not a fan.
Yeah, it's like looking back.
Parker Hawley is a better opponent than Simon Dean.
It's kind of too bad that like.
Yeah, but you gotta look. If you look at the way they wrestled for the first year, Bobby Lashley is green as shit.
Yeah,
at least Kennedy has has experience.
It doesn't fucking matter. UFC.
He was in developmental for how long? He was on the indies for how long? Lashley
matter,
literally was fucking just thrown into sports entertainment at this point in time.
Yeah, so was Brock. Brock spent less than a year in developmental.
Yeah, but
they brought him up
not everyone learns as quickly as Brock.
Right. Lashley may not be able to pick up.
I'm just saying it's Vince, and I don't think Vince gives a shit how green you are. Vince should have pushed
It's definitely a Vince thing. Like Vince, Bobby Lashley shouldn't have been on this pay-per-view so early.
The only reason I'm getting at it is because looking at how Bobby Lashley went, TNA did him well.
TNA did him well, yes.
That's
I agree.
the problem. WWE has yet to do that. He came from TNA back to WWE, and they still book him shitty. It doesn't make any sense.
Because Vince doesn't like fucking people that he didn't make himself.
He tried horribly.
He gave up, and that's whatever. That's on Vince.
Let's be fair. Vince didn't make Drew McIntyre either.
No.
He tried and failed miserably. Released his ass. He went somewhere else, made a name, came back, made a name in NXT, and then went to the main roster, and then made a name for himself.
Yeah, and guess what?
Vince
if you
asked
Vince today, he would still take credit for Drew.
He shouldn't, because he didn't.
He would.
He would, but he shouldn't.
You're right. He shouldn't, but he still would.
He dropped the title. Let's put it this way. He dropped the title to Andrade in NXT, who he is booking into the ground in the main roster.
I agree.
And then put him over Brock Lesnar in less than a year.
Because Vince gets bored.
Like, put it that way. McIntyre went over Brock in less than a year of losing the title to Andrade, who has been booked into the ground on the main roster since he showed up.
Because Vince gets bored. Look at that push he was giving fucking Cedric Alexander, 2-3 weeks, and then he was done. Mustafa Ali, he gave him a 1-2 week build.
Ricochet.
Done.
Ricochet.
Ricochet he gave a few months to.
I didn't want to talk about Ricochet.
I'm surprised he gave a few months to Ricochet.
I didn't want to talk about how all the black athletes are in the same storyline.
Well, that's been a thing for a long time.
No, it's always been a thing.
Look at New Day.
The problem is it's always been a thing.
It's stupid, but you know what? At this point in time,
the next thing you know, we're going to have
whatever.
a 6-man tag that's going to be Hurt Business versus the rest of them.
New Day, yeah.
Sure,
I'm not clowning the New Day here. Big E's the one person not involved in this storyline because Kofi's hurt, Xavier's hurt.
But anyways, let's go back on the topic. So next match is JBL versus Rey Mysterio. So
this was good. I liked it.
JBL does a headlock takedown to Rey. JBL does a nice shoulder tackle to Rey. Rey does a baseball slide to JBL, who is outside of the ring. JBL does a nice neck breaker to Rey. JBL does the thumb to Rey's eye, his existent eye at this point in time.
Yeah, we don't need to talk about that. Which one? The one that got taken out or the one that didn't?
Don't care. There was a tilt-a-whirl head scissors to JBL from Rey Mysterio.
The ping pong ball?
There's the 619 attempt. There was the apron or bulldog to JBL from Rey Mysterio. There was the first fall-away slam from the top rope to Rey. Then there was the second fall-away slam inside the ring. Then there was the following third fall-away slam on the outside of the ring.
This was actually a good trend. All three of those back to back to back, and the way they did them was actually really well done.
JBL does a nice bear hug to Rey.
Rest
There's
spot.
a tornado DDT from the top rope to JBL from Rey Mysterio. There is the cross body spot to JBL from Rey Mysterio. There's the Bronco Buster, Albert's favorite move.
Also,
to JBL.
I need to talk about that. Ray did a horrible Bronco Buster.
Well, yeah.
It was like boom, boom. I don't want to do this anymore, and he stopped.
Would you want to do that?
I don't care. The
Would
point
you
is,
want to put your dick in another man's face?
he wasn't even close in any of them.
Don't
but
matter.
To be fair, the point I'm getting at is if you're gonna do the move, do the fucking move. It wasn't even close to being the move.
There was the moonsault from Ray to JBL. There was the 619, and then JBL does a clothesline from Hell to Ray.
Well, they got to do
And
the
wins.
619, and then he ducks out of the way of the West Coast Pop.
He ducks out of the way, and then he does the clothesline from Hell.
And just like I said on the No Way Out show, I'll say it here again. JBL is the only person I know that can make a clothesline look as impactful as
Yeah.
He fucking killed it.
And he does it because he attacks those ropes and gets so deep, so it looks great.
He killed
There's
this
a
one.
reason why it's called the clothesline.
The JBL's hubris is always a part of his character, and it's appreciated in every single match he does. JBL does this headlock. It takes forever, but I was like, wrestles?
They did multiple wrestles,
Okay.
but if you're in a Rey Mysterio match, you know how many fast moving spots
Yeah,
you have.
Ray does his typical, I'm going to just outrun you and out of hit and run and all that stuff. He was doing that really well because JBL's getting frustrated, and I like those kind of stories in the match.
The funny thing is he was doing it in a different way than usual.
Then there's this weird spot where Ray's in the ring, JBL comes out of the ring, and Ray's just staring at the crowd, and JBL just walks up to him and just starts beating him up. Like, what was that? I have no idea.
Oh, I thought you were gonna mention the part where he's fucking. He keeps,
When he was holding the ropes
keeps
and
rolling
looking at the
out
crowd?
and fucking running around.
Well,
and then you see fucking Ray inside the ring doing jumping jacks.
Yeah.
No, okay, I forgot about that.
He talked about
Because JBL was pretending to blow up.
That's the point I was getting at. Is where like you were talking about why they're doing this and whatever. And it's like he's making him tired, and he did this, and he ran back in the ring, and he's like boom, 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 and JBL's like.
I forgot all about that.
But like your point was right after that.
Yeah.
JBL, like Rey Mysterio grabs the ropes and he's like taunting with the crowd and
Yeah.
fucking around, and he just goes up there and beats his ass. Like,
So
what the fuck?
stupid face. I'm not sure.
Well, we had stupid face and stupid heel in this
And
match.
Ray starts going after JBL's legs because if you're a small guy, you go after the guy's legs. I like that. Then dumb heel. JBL turned his back, and then Ray just puts a bulldog. They're outside the ring.
Yeah, this is when
that's
Jillian
the apron spot.
Yeah, and like, what are you doing? And then of course there's the distraction. I've never really liked the distraction. Like, what is Jillian going to do on the side of the ring apron that's going to cause you to lose a match?
show her her grotesque face, and then you're gonna
she
puke.
did.
And you're gonna puke.
By the way, I will say this: too many close-ups on her face.
Yeah, I was like,
Well,
what is stop doing that?
It wasn't even the issue that they did too many close-ups on the face. It's like they did a horrible job.
Well, there was
So
no
when
was no reason to close up
It's
on
not
her
even-
face.
It's not even that they did the close-ups on her face. Exposed how fake it was. That's
Yeah.
what I didn't
well,
like.
yeah,
about
but there was no reason to even show them.
Yeah, we get the idea it's there.
Like those two are fighting in the ring. You're not looking to see what her reaction
Like I
is.
said, though, like the point is, it's so fake.
Because she's showing no reaction.
She's
so,
just standing there, like taking her notes on her on her notepad.
It's
or
so
whatever.
fake that at the point when when we get to the point where Boogeyman, it's not at the show, but when Boogeyman does actually take it off, it's like, oh, she's hot now.
Yeah, pretty much. But
Literally rips it off.
that's a whole different thing.
She rips it off. He rips it off of perfectly clean skin, eats it, and they're like, oh, Jillian's hot.
Yeah, that's a whole different story.
I'm going to comment it now because I know that we're not going to watch another match that involves Jillian Hall for a minute. So I'm talking about
And
it
you
now.
never
There's
know. Jillian Hall could show up at any time.
And there's another bump Ray takes. I think JBL trips Ray onto the stairs. He goes head first.
Oh,
I
yeah.
thought he took it really
That
well.
was actually pretty cool.
I actually commented that looked and felt a lot more impactful than when Seth
Yeah.
took his eye out.
Yeah, and then everything else Chris listed after that.
Both
the follow-away
times.
slams and tornado DDT, and then the finish. Yeah, I'm gonna give this match a 6. I thought it could have been better. I'm not sure if there's just some weird spots in the match.
The Jillian Hall stuff took me out.
I thought Ray was going to go over because I think he was on his way up, but JBL won for some reason. So I don't really understand
Ray
why
went
JBL
over.
won.
I thought Ray went over, but then I forgot that Eddie hadn't died yet. And I'm gonna say this, and it's gonna be on the Eddie podcast. I'm gonna say it now. Ray's push that happens after Eddie dies does not happen if Eddie doesn't die.
Yeah.
And it's not a negative or anything like that. I guarantee you that he doesn't win the Royal Rumble. He doesn't win the world title. Doesn't do any of that at this moment in time if Eddie doesn't die.
So I'm going with a 6.
Okay, you.
5.5.
Shoot, I went 7.5.
Of course
just
you
because.
did.
Well, the thing is, I've seen JBL Rey Mysterio matches before, and this was actually better than what I normally would see.
I
out of
actually
those two.
agree with that, but I don't like JBL Rey Mysterio matches. So.
I didn't mind this one because they did the whole big man, little man thing and made it work versus a whole big man dominates 98% and then little man does a couple moves and there you go, it's done.
I'm also really glad.
It seems that's the theme of these two shows with Eddie Guerrero being the main topic. And what does he do versus two opponents? I mean, we'll see in the last match coming up here, but versus Brock Lesnar, it's pretty much Eddie. We'll just have this for sake of argument: punch, kick, Lesnar puts him down. Punch, kick, Lesnar puts him down over and over again. Same thing in this match. Or yeah.
Yeah, we'll get there.
So then, was there a segment after this?
I just had to bring up my thing on Rey Mysterio just because.
Well, you already did.
I just want to clarify. Like, I'm happy with what happened. I'm just saying it wouldn't happen.
Okay.
He would have had a moment, but it wouldn't have been that.
I think we go to the next match after that. There's no segments between.
Yeah.
So then there's the handicap casket match.
And I'll get a lot of hate for that.
Cowboy Bob Orton and Randy Orton versus Undertaker. So, first things first is this story is actually really well made.
Oh, it's still one of my favorite feuds of all time.
Right.
It's one of my favorite Orton feuds, I'll say that.
Yeah, I'll say one of my favorite feuds of all time, but it helps that Orton's one of my favorites of all time.
So first things first is obviously Cowboy Bob Orton and Randy Orton come out together. And when Randy Orton does his corner pose, Cowboy Bob Orton essentially does Undertaker's pose.
I didn't even see
raising his hand at Randy, who's posed in the corner.
Oh, I didn't even notice that.
So Undertaker starts off by kind of just beating up Bob and Randy, which I do not say Orton on here unless it's the Ortons.
Yeah,
I don't get confused.
I did the same thing.
Orton took this. Which one? Probably Randy, but let's explain.
So first off, Bob low blows Taker.
I'll clarify, Bob takes a lot more bumps than I ever thought he would in this match. But then again, he's only 4 years older than Jericho at this point.
Then the Ortons,
which is more unbelievable.
Double team Taker. Then Taker throws Bob into the casket, and Randy hits Taker onto the stairs and announcer's table outside the ring. The Ortons put Taker into the casket, but Taker fights out of it. Old school to Randy. Taker attempts old school to Bob, but Randy saves Bob. The Ortons do a superplex spot to Taker, but before that superplex happens, they are on the top rope, and Taker is punching them. Actually, he is punching Bob.
This is my favorite thing, because I pointed this out, and it's so fucking hilarious.
He's punching Bob, and Randy is selling it as if he's the one taking the damage.
And when it ends, Orton actually drops off the apron, or off the ropes. He's like,
we had to rewind it and look at it, because I missed it.
Yeah, I was like, you need to see this, because that was, both of you were just like, what?
So then, Bob decides to pin Taker at this point in time.
Yeah, after the suplex. You need to put him in the casket, Bob.
I don't know what the hell he thought. So then Taker DDTs both Ortons. So Taker sits up. Then Taker suplexes Randy. Gives a neck breaker by Randy to neck backbreaker by Randy to Taker. So then Randy gets caught off of the apron and driven spine first into the turnbuckle by Taker. Taker does the triangle choke to Bob to get both of the Ortons into the casket.
I have to say, I don't know. I might be wrong. You can correct me, but you didn't correct me when I said it when we were watching it live, and I'm saying now. That's the first time I actually saw Taker use the triangle choke to do anything.
He used it against Kurt Angle in SmackDown in 03.
Yeah, I didn't watch SmackDown in 03.
So then their fight. So Orton and Taker are punching each other, and Bob is laying inside the casket,
looking up at their buttholes basically the entire time.
They close the casket, so all three of them are now closed in the casket. After Bob's already been closed in there once, we discussed it as a group, saying that should have been a draw. But
yeah, whatever.
I prefer what they actually did versus a draw. That would have been really stupid. So then,
it would have still pushed the match forward, but you wouldn't have got the epic ending.
So then Randy does a really nice power slam to Taker. Taker hits a low blow to Randy. Randy does a nice drop kick to
His
Taker.
scoop slam, if you're talking about, is
Yes, sir.
really good in
Amazing.
this match.
Then there's the big boot to Randy by Taker. Taker attempts the last ride, just to end up hitting a last ride on Randy.
Okay, this spot, this spot pissing me off. 'Cause I would have rather taken the last ride spot out of the head punching spot, even though he didn't punch him anyways. But he got up there. He got him up there, and then Orton got out, and then he gave him the fucking Austin mid kick and last ride him anyways. I would have just gave him the last ride because that mid kick is bullshit unless it's a stunner. Don't tell me otherwise.
You're right.
Unless it's a stunner, that mid kick is the stupidest setup to
Yeah,
a finishing move I've ever seen.
Yeah, because unless he does it all the time. Yeah, I agree. 100%.
Which Taker didn't do that all the time.
And I will defend that in every single podcast I see it in now.
So then
Declared.
Taker attempts to tombstone Randy. Well, then Bob sprays him with a fire extinguisher.
From in the casket.
Actually, to the point, same thing with fucking Kevin Nash's Jackknife Powerbomb. I hated it because he did the same thing.
Then Randy Orton does the RKO to Taker. Randy hits Taker with a fire extinguisher.
Which was not a great RKO because you're still dealing with the fire extinguisher.
True. So the casket gets closed on Randy and Taker again. They pull it open, and Randy hits Taker in the head with a chair.
Which is good. I want to go back to the Bob Orton having the fire extinguisher in the fucking casket.
Someone gave it to him.
That is something that I want to go back at some point and really, really pay attention to. Because I know he had the fire extinguisher.
You'll never see it on TV.
And I know you won't. And he brought it around, and he was walking around like a dead man, and he brought it all the way around from one side of the casket, around all four corners of the ring.
Well, someone put it in there with him.
But I'm saying, like, when he originally had it, he walked around all four corners of the ring, and it was there, but at no point in time was the casket in, or was the fucking fire extinguisher in the casket.
Exactly. So
and then he fucking had
him.
it in the casket. That's still one like blemish with the storytelling of the match.
Yeah, it's very possible they planted one inside it, but why would you put a fire extinguisher inside a casket? So you know what I'm saying?
Not even that they planted this. It's like when you really pay attention to it, like, you know the fire extinguisher is coming in because he's fucking with it and he has it outside. Like, at least like when he gets thrown into the casket, have him go into the fucking casket with the thing to make it make sense.
Yeah, you never see it.
Because the next time it comes back up, he's doing the fire extinguisher spot, and it was never in the casket to begin with.
So then Randy gets out of the casket. The Ortons close the
Over
lid.
exhibit fans, I guess.
The Ortons close the lid on the casket, bring it up to the top of the... Well, there's no ramp, so they bring it to the entranceway.
Well, it's kind of a ramp.
They bring it to the entranceway.
To the escape hatch.
Randy Orton starts hitting it with an axe.
Undertaker's allowed to escape at this point.
They grab some lighter fluid and a Zippo lighter, and they light that bitch on fire.
Which is great scene. Everybody knows that, oh yeah, Taker escapes, because there's a whole thing about it.
So obviously,
and they're not going to light
win.
somebody on fire with them in the fucking thing.
Taker's entrance is always awesome. You just can't get over it. My favorite part is when he gets on the turnbuckles and he just does this. He raises his arms and the lights go off.
And at this point, this is 2004. He had just come back at WrestleMania. Not that long before this. He's only done this entrance, well, last a year and a half. So 2004 he came back. He's only done this entrance a handful of times.
Yeah, and it never gets old. Even like today, it doesn't get old.
Back then he was wrestling on SmackDown and shit too, though.
But like, he didn't. It's still new. Like, if you see it now, it's not.
Yeah, so it goes from that the all the casket spots, all the old schools, and
his entrance here. They brought the casket out before he even came out. Like, it was a whole
the Druids brought it out.
Yeah.
The Snake Eyes on Orton, I love that move.
He took a big boot that he turned into that fucking massive power
slam. And I mean, pretty much everything. Like it's not. So usually when I'm going down my list of notes, Chris is reading off his list of notes. I'll check off what he wrote. So if it's whatever's about different, I'm not sitting there just like looking for what I'm, pretty much took the same notes I did. Okay, so there were 6 casket spots, including the final, or I'm sorry, the finish.
Okay, I didn't count those.
I don't really particularly like casket matches.
I mean, you mentioned all of them, so I was checking them off as I go. Any idea how many casket spots? I'm sorry, if this is most casket spots, any casket match you can remember off the top of your head? I'm just curious. It seems like it's a lot.
To be honest, I'm not sure.
I would say
whatsoever.
it
seems like a lot to me.
I'm gonna do it this way.
Maybe the Yoko one had more.
Of the casket matches,
Michaels
if the
too.
casket match I remember watching, I think this match had the most casket spots that worked.
Yeah.
Because I don't particularly like casket matches themselves.
Yeah,
We talked about
I'm
it.
a
this.
huge fan of
This
that.
is 2005.
Right.
Heidenreich had one at the Royal Rumble with Undertaker.
Terrible.
Sucked.
Yeah.
And
Terrible.
then we're a few months away from Mark Henry having one of Undertaker, which was okay.
Better than Heidenreich, but worse
But
than this one.
is like this is a good casket.
Okay, so why is it that so I'm sorry. I know the rule says that the referee opens the casket, the wrestler himself has to close it. And I know it's because the match has to keep
fucked
going.
it up with the handicaps.
So like,
Separation.
Taker's 6'10" and his reach is longer than my legs. I mean, he couldn't get himself ready to. To me, it's just dumb. Like, why sit there and slow roll, closing the casket?
That didn't even bother me. It was when Orton was trying to end the match that bothered me because he was like, "Give it to me."
See, exactly. It just looks silly.
Because his dad had to push it a couple inches so he could grab the thing.
And we've seen every wrestler in the whole world, recover from small things that get him in the casket enough to like where eventually you've done, especially with Taker, he's done 1,000 of these things.
I say, if anything, with this match, they sold the headshot chair shot.
They did do that.
Because that was the last thing that happened.
Yeah.
He fucking clocked him on the head and it was over.
Yeah, I'm just being a little kayfabe here. Like you figure a guy who's done a match 30 times, and is a specialty match for Undertaker. Nobody else does them but Taker. Why would you not have your hand on the lid or somewhere to where you can get to that lid really fast and just shut it while you put him in there? That's it. Small detail. It's just a small discussion if you want to do it.
Now that I'm really thinking,
it just looks silly.
The only thing that I can think of is if you're just thinking about what you're doing to your opponent at that particular second, you might not think of that split second. Oh shit! I should probably close this right now.
I just realized
that's the
something.
only thing I could logically think.
Fair enough. That's all I ask.
Chris's memory is better than mine, so I want to say Undertaker and Orton, they faced at Mania.
Yes.
Taker. They faced at SummerSlam. Orton won.
Yes.
They faced here.
Orton's win.
And they faced at Armageddon.
Yes.
And Taker wins.
Yes.
When's the next time Orton has a match with Taker? At all? Yeah. Think about it. I think about it.
I don't think he does.
Exactly. That's what's coming on
my
mind.
Are you thinking singles match?
I'm thinking singles style only because
then
this
they
feud
do not face each other on pay-per-view again. Singles matches.
This feud ends 2-2. I mean, Taker definitively wins the feud, but
yeah, they don't have another singles match on pay-per-view.
If you're talking numbers wise, Taker wins 2-2. We could have moved the Mania again because 2-2 does not seem like somebody actually won the feud.
No.
Even though Orton only beat Taker at SummerSlam because of Cowboy Bob, and Orton only beat Taker here because of Cowboy Bob.
Yeah. I give this match a 7. I enjoyed it.
I rated it a little bit higher. I said an 8.
I agree.
Because honestly, this is the most enjoyable casket match that I've, obviously I'd have to rewatch like the one with, Big Show, the one with Mark Henry and Heidenreich. I'm going to definitely say are lower than this no matter what.
I'll give it an 8.
And then the one with Triple H and Kane on Raw, I can't remember if that was good or not.
Isn't that the one where the whole storyline had to do with
Vic?
Yes. That fucks that whole match up. Like you don't.
I don't remember if this happened or if this was promoted. But didn't Daniel Bryan have one with Kane on SmackDown?
I don't know if it ever happened.
I know it was at least promoted. I don't remember if it actually happened.
All I know
But that one could have been actually pretty decent.
I'm giving this an 8, and like I said, it's one of my favorite feuds of all time. I give this an 8, and that's my worst rating for a Randy Orton Taker match.
Oh yeah, because
I can rate the other 3
out of all the fucking feud or all the matches in this particular feud, this is the worst ranked one.
You know what? I'm gonna upgrade mine to an 8 as well. It was good. It was the more I think about it, the last few minutes. Yeah, it was.
The storytelling is great.
Yeah,
you got to realize what the story is.
Right.
It's been going on for 6 months at this point.
And having Bob Orton there, just take a few bumps and just.
I give this one an 8. I give SummerSlam an 8.5. I give WrestleMania a 9. I give Armageddon a 9.5.
I would have to rewatch those to be able to rate them, but like.
Oh, I know Mania's a 9.
Obviously, like the SummerSlam one's the second worst. obviously Mania's the second best, and Armageddon's the best of
The
them
thing
all.
is, I give Mania 9, and I know Armageddon's better.
I do like the storyline part to Mania's better than the storyline part to this one, because that's the one where Randy Orton was being forced to face Taker's old foes at Mania.
The Hell
So
in a
like
Cell
he had a
is really
segment with Kamala. He had a segment with or a match with
Well,
Kamala.
'cause
he had
this
a
is-
match with Jake the Snake.
This is
Snuka
literally
and whoever else,
this
yeah.
entire feud, the entire Mania build was Legend Killer. That's where it came from.
Yep, the
They
Mania build
started
was
it,
specifically
And when
that.
they built this to Taker, that's where Legend Killer came from.
Right.
And he's doing it now, 16 years later.
Exactly. So then the next
Again, why it's the best feud he's had in his career.
the next thing we did is we had was it Simon Dean again and Bobby Lashley one last time?
One more time coming up. But this is the Let Me Out match.
Oh, this is the in-between main events.
All right, so then I feel bad for both these guys because these guys can work, but you had the cruiserweight title match, Nunzio versus Juventud.
Who the hell is Hoovy?
So first off, Nunzio and Juventud here are in a fucked up position because they can't win because the crowd's not going to be into it because even commentary is selling the fact that
They know
the
what
whole,
just happened and they
Yep.
know what's coming.
yeah, exactly. So there's
The death spot.
this reminds me of literally WrestleMania 30 after Taker lost the streak
Ooh.
and before the main event where they had the women's match.
Yeah, it's a Let You Out match. It's like not the death spot. That's a harsh term.
There's a point.
But there has to be something there. There has to be a buffer.
See, I actually agree with the death spot because there's a point where people talk about like, oh, the higher on the card you are, the more important your match is.
It depends.
This
on the
is
show.
where you look at it. It's like, well, where is your match? Is it between the second most important match on the card and the most important match on the card?
Yeah, we watched
Because-
WrestleMania 17. The gimmick battle royal was that spot too.
Well, yeah, that was garbage
and stuff
too.
like that is
Still-
totally fine. You know, that's fine. But like,
It is what it is. The role for these guys was what it was, and for where they were, I enjoyed the match. So go ahead, Chris.
so we had a few pin attempts by both Juventud and Nunzio at this point in time.
Again,
Yep.
who thought Nunzio would be in the second last match on the card?
There was a
Over
tilt
the
a whirl
belt.
head scissors to Nunzio
With
from Juvi.
Big Vito.
With Vito, yes. Nunzio threw Juvi over the top rope. Then Nunzio did a decent neck breaker to Juvi. Nunzio and Juvi are both thrown off the top rope. I don't know what the hell to even call that. Like, they didn't do a neck breaker, but they both just kind of fell.
Yeah.
It's one of those weird moments where it's like, well, that happened.
Juvi does a nice spin kick to Nunzio. There's the wheelbarrow slam by Juvi to Nunzio. Juvi does a Hurricane Rana to Vito.
Yeah, that was a really cool spot.
Juvi does a crossbody to Nunzio, and then Juvi does a Falcon Arrow, aka the Juvi driver, to Nunzio to win this match and win the Cruiserweight
This
title.
is well before the who the hell
Yeah.
kicks out of the Falcon Arrow.
And after that, the Mexicals decide to celebrate with the Spanish commentators.
And they start speaking Spanish for the second time in the night.
I was waiting for one of those announcers to go goal or whatever. It sounded just like that guy who would.
That's
do the
almost
paper
racist,
soccer
but
game.
that's exactly what happens.
Oh.
Not here, but
Well,
it's,
to be fair, the gimmick was racist as fuck, seeing as they come out on Juan Deere
tractors.
fucking
Juan Deere,
lawnmowers.
not John Deere.
Quote unquote Juan Deere fucking lawnmowers.
Like this segment and JBL's segment for Mysterio are inherently racist.
Yeah.
Towards Mexicans.
But it's 2004, so who cares? That's
2005. We're not
well, whatever.
Mexican. We're
It's
Mexicool.
2005. 2004, 2005, same difference as far as we're talking the racism of this. Because
Well,
they would
let's-
never do either of these segments.
They wouldn't be able to do them today.
No, not
Because
even close.
fucking one person on Twitter would bitch and then everyone would be like, yeah, we agree.
The worst thing that ever happened in the history of anything is Twitter.
Yeah.
So Juventud was showing off his speed. at the
Even though I
beginning,
like it because I follow news.
And then off the top rope thing. I don't know what that trip and fall was.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah.
when they both just kind of fell, right?
Yeah. Nunzio did a cool face plant on Juvi off the top rope.
We're already at it.
Juvi with a spinning heel kick. Space Buster by Juvi was a weird spot. I don't know how to describe it at this point, so I guess
Well,
we just move on.
that was the wheelbarrow thing I was talking about.
Oh, okay. I put a question mark right next to it.
And what the fuck happened here?
And then so Juvi did that head scissor on Vito. It was through the ropes,
Yep.
and then he hit scissors him, and then
That was weird because they didn't cut the camera right, so I was like, where did he go? Like, he he got out, and I'm like, oh, that's kind of slick, but he didn't go onto the apron, which is what I thought he was going to do.
And then eventually Hoovy gets the Falcon Arrow. This match was obviously what it was. It was...
It's filler.
Yeah, I'm giving it a 5 because at least these guys were working pretty good. And it was surprised to see Nunzio in a spot where he has a belt. And he actually was in a match...
he lost the belt.
He lost the belt.
I liked seeing Nunzio in an actual championship match, or in a match that actually mattered on a show.
Yeah, the only other time I remember him on a pay-per-view was the Rumble of that year, where he was got to the ring and he just sits there, and then John Cena finds him. He's like,
and then
"What are you doing over here?"
And then he gets fucking speared out of his shoes by Goldberg.
See,
then,
you say match actually matters. I think this match only matters because the title changes.
Well, it only matters because there's a title on the line. 100%.
If Nunzio won, I would give two shits about this match. But because the title changes hands, I kind of have to care, because if you're a historian and want to follow the...
I would have been chill with Nunzio winning too, but the Cruiserweight title at this point in time didn't really mean anything.
It's still a hell of a lot better than what the Cruiserweight title means now.
Yes, I give it a 5.
Yeah. I mean, what would you rate this one?
I'll give it a 5 because I like Hoovy.
I gave it a 6. You know, it was basic.
Yeah.
But like at the same,
I never liked Nunzio.
I liked Nunzio as a character because I thought he was cool.
I like that Vito's not a cross-dressing woman in this match.
I agree with that. If Vito would have been in the gimmick where he was wearing the dress and wearing a thong, this would have been automatically a 2.
You want to talk about extremely offensive gimmicks? There you go.
to be 100% fair, though, Vito was cool with it. He said,
I don't care if he's cool, but
I was told in interviews
worse?
That he would go out in public like that.
Somehow, what is worse? Having the women degrade themselves in bra and panties matches for our enjoyment, which is exactly what it was. It was enjoyment. We enjoyed it. Can't say I didn't. But having the women degrade themselves in bra and panties matches, or have this grown-ass bald guy mock that shit, wear a dress, and have his finishing move be a, hey, sniff my taint for 15 seconds. And
no, it wasn't even his taint. It was fucking suck my dick. Because they would be fucking dick in the dress.
But that's what I'm saying. He puts him under the dress, so I say suck my taint. It's like, it's all there. Balls, dick, and taint are all within like inches of each other. So basically the point is, my argument and your point, that itself is disgraceful to the entire business.
I just fucking, that gimmick was ridiculous.
And women's wrestling for that matter.
I don't know why Vito fucking agreed to that gimmick.
I know why, because they talked to him. They were going to release him if he didn't do it, because they didn't have anything for him. And they said, this is what we wanted to do. And he's like, you're going to pay me? He said, sure.
At that point, at that point in time, I
would you rather get paid or
I would have
not be paid?
I would have taken the release, because you know what? At that point in time, you're still under the full-blooded Italians gimmick. You could have went to Ring of Honor like Nunzio.
Well, my other point with that is we're talking about 2004, 2005, 2006, because 2006 is when that goes down. 2006, 2007. You're talking about that, it's like, we're not talking about WWE money today. Now, if you told me today the minimum WWE contract and you want me to do this, like, maybe?
Yeah. If you're gonna give me $500,000 a year, sure.
Like,
but what do you think a fucking Vito was making back then? Maybe like 1,500, 20, like maybe 15,000, 20,000 a year.
Oh, that's probably more than that. They still paid their people living wages.
I don't know, dude. He was on fucking Velocity all the time. Velocity wrestlers weren't making shit.
He's probably still making more money there than I make in a fucking year.
True.
Yeah, but you got to think back.
And that's just under
15 years ago. Minimum wage would have been way lower, so you wouldn't have been making as much.
I'm not talking about minimum wage. I'm talking about wrestling as a business.
Cost of living was way cheaper back then, though. 15 years ago.
But here's the point: you're making an argument that he should have went to Ring of Honor. He would have been making 1/4 of that.
But
you
guess
still gotta
what?
make
At least
money.
he would have had his dignity.
If I listen to any old school wrestling podcaster, you make fucking money in wrestling regardless of what year it was.
And yeah, but you got to think.
It doesn't matter that
the more they hurt your current gimmick, the less desirable you are after you get released.
There had to be something there that made him be okay.
Like when Vito got
you were still very. I'm still saying you're very low on what he was getting paid.
I don't care what he was getting paid.
I'm just saying you said 20. Vito, way more than 20.
When Vito gets cut from WWE, that's the last thing people see of him. So how desirable is he to another company at that point in time? Not very. Because they're going to be like, we don't want the guy who's wearing a fucking dress and a thong working on our show.
And I'm not disagreeing with that. I'm just saying, like, he was making a lot more than you think he was.
Don't matter.
All
It's
right.
just terrible.
So,
that was fine.
the final segment of the Simon Dean
Before shot for Eddie.
So Simon Dean is still getting the eat 'em treatment from Bobby Lashley, and he eats
Please
one.
end these burger
So he says he
segments.
says
Again,
he
like I said,
so
Bobby
he
Lashley
says
got a
he-
horrible treatment.
so he says he ate all the burgers, and Bobby Lashley's like, no.
He
you got
pulls one out of like
left.
his
And
ass.
It's effing huge. It's like a triple, quadruple, big burger.
It's the 2 burgers he threw. I swear to God, he
And,
picked them up. And
I
put
wouldn't
them
doubt
together.
it. It's
Simon
too
Dean
true,
says, okay, takes one bite and
throws up.
runs to the bathroom and vomits.
Here's my argument. So, like you said, he ate.
What
9
argument?
Well, he said he ate 19 burgers, right?
He said he ate 20.
Well,
Lashley said he said 19.
He said, yeah, but I'm saying Lashley said 19. But my argument is when I say that I think the last burger he pulled out was 2 burgers put
It was
together.
21.
Well, no. The argument I have is because
he would have
Dean
been at 18
threw,
at that point.
because he should have been at 18 because Dean threw 2 away to get distract the ref. So if I was him, I would have said 18. I would have been like, yeah, here's the 2 you threw to distract me. That's what I would have said. If they're doing continuity, they fucked up because he threw 2 burgers. So what? Lashley picked them both up and just fucking.
Yeah, but you got to think. Dean's gonna try to just say whatever fucking number he can
Dean's
to
not
get
the one
out
who
of
said,
it.
Dean said he was done. Lashley's the one who said 19.
Well, Lashley's just dumb. He's
Again,
dumb.
Math no good.
we don't need to go back to what I hate about this booking for Bobby
Yeah, we got a
Lashley.
main event to talk about.
Well,
Yeah.
if we're gonna talk about the main event,
All right, Eddie
Rip,
Guerrero,
rest in peace.
you are my
Cheers.
poppy.
So then we have a World Heavyweight title match. Batista versus Eddie Guerrero. So, in one way, the physiques of the opponents are very similar.
But Eddie's short.
Batista and Brock Lesnar.
Now, I was gonna say just Eddie's short. That's the only reason that fucks him up. His upper body is much like Batista's.
But Eddie does a nice takedown to Batista at the beginning. Then Batista throws Eddie off the top rope. Batista shoulder tackles and slams Eddie. Then Eddie goes outside of the ring, grabs a chair, looks around, thinks for a second,
Psychology.
puts it down.
And then Batista gets pissed, chokes his ass on the outside of the ring.
Batista
grabs him from
Batista
inside
does
the ring.
attempt to choke his ass. But then Eddie hot shots Batista's throat into the ropes.
That's where we kind of talked about. Well, the choking part is where he's like, "Who's the heel here?" Because Batista's the one who got pissed and fucking choked him for doing the right thing.
Yeah.
He
Then
threw the chair away.
Eddie does the frog splash to Batista's back. So then Eddie attempts to pin him. Obviously it doesn't work. Eddie does the body scissors to Batista, and he's there for a decent amount of time. Eddie drop kicks Batista's knee, which that was actually pretty cool. Let's see. Eddie does the single leg crab to Batista. So then Eddie goes over to the turnbuckle and removes the tag rope. Looks at it, thinking he wants to choke Batista out with it.
So it's
Decides
weird.
no, he's not going to do it.
This moment's weird for me because knowing the way Eddie operates, he takes the tag rope. Like cool. Because if you're thinking Eddie, and the way he would operate here, it's not the tag rope he'd be going for. He'd be taking the fucking turnbuckle pad off. He'd be fucking trying to do some shit.
This one, he just cared about the
It's
tag
Like I
rope.
It's just
said,
tag rope.
there's a story here, and
Yep.
this is part of it.
This is the
he
second
downgrades his,
stanza of it.
like this is because he doesn't do the chair, he doesn't do the turnbuckle, he takes the tag rope.
Yep.
So then Eddie does the camel clutch to Batista. Then Eddie starts doing the rear naked choke to Batista. Batista lifts him up and does a bear hug to Eddie.
Rest hold.
Then
I'm gonna
Eddie,
say every time somebody says bear hug.
to reverse the move, the bear hug, Eddie cups Batista's ears, which fucking hurts.
No, he's
Then Eddie does another drop kick to Batista's knee. Eddie attempts the lasso from El Paso, but it gets reversed into a small package.
that was weird. Like it was good. Like we talked about it. It's what should have happened because you're like, yeah, that makes sense. But it's like, it was weird to see Batista do a small package.
Eddie fell, which got pushed into the ref. Eddie does a DDT to Batista, goes outside of the ring, grabs the chair again.
And of course, there's going to be a ref bump because you expect, okay, so Eddie's going to do some shit.
Eddie decides not to use this chair. Batista does does a corner clothesline and a couple shoulder tackles in the corner. Batista then does a nice backdrop to Eddie and a spear. Batista attempts the Batista bomb. Eddie reverses it. Then he does the spine buster to Eddie. Eddie does the Three Amigos to Batista.
Goes for the frog splash.
Eddie attempts the frog splash and
then
rolls through.
Buster.
Batista gives him a spine buster and pins him 1, 2, 3.
Honestly, I want to talk about the finish because that finish is great, especially if you like at the moment. Because if you're looking at the moment in this time, Batista didn't win matches with spine buster.
Well, that's why later on in pay-per-views when we hear Michael Cole going, "Oh man, I can't believe how many people have actually kicked out of the spine buster," you can be like, "Well, Eddie didn't."
No, I swear to God, this is me talking off the top of my head. I could be completely wrong. I'm not in Batista's head. I'm not in anybody in booking's head. I'm not in anybody's head at all. I swear to God, the last person Batista pinned with spine buster is Eddie Guerrero.
I wouldn't doubt it unless he did it on like Raw or something.
Unless it happened in the next month between now and Eddie's death that we're about to talk about. If this is the last time he pinned somebody with a spine buster and it's Eddie Guerrero and that's why he did it, I fucking love Batista for that. I love Batista for a lot of things. But if Eddie Guerrero is actually the last person he pinned with a spine buster and he never pinned anybody and refused to pin anybody with a spine buster again for this moment, I'd have utmost respect for that.
Well, and I have to say,
I think that's what it is.
And I have to say this too, from at this point in time watching Batista match, this is like one of the most technical matches that Batista has been in.
I said that like Batista went. I said it when it started. Batista went more technical for you. Let Eddie do some shit.
Because most of the time they just do the couple big man spots, then you go over for a little bit.
For me, because like I said, we're coming off of JBL's feud, and before that it was Triple H's feud. Like that's some hard hitting shit.
Yep. Triple H, two Hosses.
They had the fucking Hell in a Cell. They had the rematch. They had the Mania match, and then he went to JBL, and they had their match. They had the No Hold Bars match.
Yep.
He'd come out here. This is a completely different Batista match than I think anybody ever thought.
Yeah, no one. I don't think anyone would have expected as technical.
He won with a spine buster, and
this is work rate Batista right here.
I'm quoting it. I'm going to quote it now. I'm not even going to look it up. I guarantee you, Eddie's the last one to take it.
Honestly, I have zero idea because I don't pay attention to all the matches he does on SmackDown.
I'm just saying, because Batista wins this match. And then we move on. And then shortly thereafter, Batista gets hurt.
Yep.
This is after
couple months later.
This is after Eddie's death. But if Batista gets hurt and Eddie died, I'm saying it probably crossed his mind that he pinned him with the spine buster.
I would presume so.
And there was never his finisher to begin with.
No, he never. It was always the Batista bomb.
To pin him with the spine buster, I think he wins everything else with the Batista bomb.
I would presume so.
Or something else, because I cannot, at the top of my head, think of when Batista pinned somebody that wasn't.
Well, me neither.
Wasn't the Batista bomb, or that was the spine buster? That's the one thing. I can say that this is the last time I recall Batista winning a match with spine buster.
The story for this match was outstanding.
The story for both Eddie matches were outstanding.
Right. So having Eddie figure out what he's going to do, the devil on his shoulder and the angel on his shoulder.
Eddie lost this match because of what he was trying to figure out.
Well, that's the point.
I know.
Is that he's still figuring out, because he's addicted to respect here. And so obviously integrity comes with that, but he's been trying to convince Batista of that since he came back.
But then he believed it himself.
The best spot of the match to me was when Eddie Guerrero had the chair, and he's like, he's feigning use of it, and then throws the chair away. But and that coupled with the look that he had on his face when the ref took the ref bump, which was a weak ass bump anyway.
He didn't want that to happen.
Right, but the thing is that like Eddie Guerrero had that grin, that he's like that smirk, that smirk. Ooh, I can get him now, and then he doesn't use it. Great storytelling, and then he doesn't win the match. So who knows what was going to go in the future?
And that's what we were talking about that earlier too.
So who's to say? This match gets an 8 out of 10 for me. Main event.
It's my 8. It's better than the casting match. So I'm giving it 8.5.
Okay.
It's my main event, and this is why these two shows are perfect for us to do for the Eddie tribute.
Also gave it an 8.5 as well.
Yeah.
Both these matches do what they're supposed to do.
If this is obviously the last major match he had, and if he to me he went out on top with no belt or with the belt or no belt.
Like you said,
event, his last pay-per-view main evented.
You were talking about his emotion and the way that he played the role where he could have cheated. Yeah. Like, he is one of the best psychologists I've watched in the ring.
And that's my favorite aspect of Eddie Guerrero. And every wrestling match, I'm always talking about the story of the match, most of all.
If he's heel, he's going to be fucking heel.
Yeah.
And you will see it in his match. If he's not, even in the Brock Lesnar match, he's like, it's fucking Brock Lesnar. I'm going to do this shit. You have to. Yeah, he's going to do the shit.
Yeah.
He didn't put the title belt there. He just DDT'd him on it.
Yeah.
Well, plus you have to think about it, too. Like, right before in the storyline package, Batista and Eddie were a tag team. So at this point in time, Eddie's trying to win Batista's trust as a partner. Because if the original storyline would have happened, Rey Mysterio wouldn't have been tag champs with Batista. It would have been Eddie and Batista.
A lot of what I already pointed this out earlier, that Rey's storyline wouldn't happen. I'm going to point this. This is how I think it would have played out. And I'm going to be fantasy booker.
Royal Rumble.
I'm going to be fantasy booker. So this match happens exactly the way it did. Batista believes him. They have the whole Survivor Series thing. Because Survivor Series is a whole other thing. Because we will talk about that in a second. So that's going to happen either way. Batista and Eddie are the ones that win the tag titles.
Which would have happened.
And they do a Royal Rumble match instead of the whole Rey winning the Royal Rumble and all that bit happening. They do a Royal Rumble match. I'm not saying Eddie's going to win, but they do it in the cleanest way possible. Like Eddie being the cleanest Eddie's ever been. Because that's kind of what they were going for. They don't want Eddie. Eddie doesn't want to cheat. He wants to prove to Batista that he can beat Batista.
Straight up. He
probably does. Going off of what you're saying, Eddie and Shawn, the only way I see Eddie and Shawn at Mania is if it is for the title. So what I see is Eddie beats Batista. Shawn wins the Rumble that year. Is the way I'm looking at it.
I mean, that definitely could have been.
I'm not saying that's what would have happened. I'm just saying if Eddie was alive, I think Eddie wins the world title. They have the match, Eddie and Shawn. Shawn doesn't win because Shawn doesn't want to be world champion.
I just wish I could have seen Eddie and Shawn. That would have been great.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Like, if you're saying Eddie and Shawn was going to happen at that Mania 20,
was supposed to do.
At Mania 22, they can still do Triple H and Cena.
Yep.
Because that was always going to happen.
Well, Cena could win the Rumble. Michael doesn't need to win the Rumble.
No, Cena was already champ. The issue I'm saying is Triple H ends up being his challenger. Ray wins the Rumble and does the triple threat with Orton, and Orton brings Eddie's storyline in, which is how he ends up in the match in the first place, which I didn't like either. That's like my least favorite Orton moment ever, is when he says Eddie's not in heaven, he's in hell. Because that's how he gets into his match with Ray at No Way Out. And he beats Ray, so he gets in the triple threat.
All right.
That didn't need to happen.
No.
That didn't need to happen regardless.
No.
But they put on a fine match, so it's fine.
But he got real heel heat from that.
Oh, that wasn't even heel. That was legit heat. That was everybody heat. Like,
the thing is, though, is that shouldn't be heat on him from the boys in the back.
No,
because Vince fucking put that in the promo.
It's nuclear heat from a fan perspective. I'm not saying nuclear heat from everybody. You gotta royally fuck up. If you got heat from the back and...
Well, plus you gotta think, if any promo that's written in the back, that's Vince. Be pissed at Vince for saying that.
It was still a Vince promo, but the fact that they used it pissed me off. And we talked about this, about other storylines that they do with Eddie that are...
Oh, yeah, no. I feel like after Rey Mysterio's title win, when he loses the belt, so like his feud with Chavo, pretty much saying, you're leeching off the Eddie Guerrero name. And then the feud Chavo has a Benoit. Oh, this is about Eddie's estate. Those didn't need to happen.
No, not at all.
The thing is, like,
you could have still
figure out anything else.
Do anything else.
Just say, look, I want to win the title. That's it.
It's weird because going back to my defense when I was talking about like what I think would have happened, you talk about Eddie and Shawn. If they had Eddie and Shawn at WrestleMania 22,
amazing.
They would not have put that against John and Triple H. Triple H and John would have been main event.
Yeah.
But in no way, shape, or form was Shawn winning the title. So Eddie would have had another WrestleMania moment. Because
Yeah,
Shawn doesn't want to be champion.
Yeah, he would have had a moment.
He just wants matches. That's it.
He had his championship moment at
02.
Survivor Series 02 and immediately dropped the title because he doesn't want to be in that spotlight. That's not the thing he wants.
He wanted to put people over.
He wants high profile events.
Taker, all that stuff.
Taker, Triple H, because he did
Angle,
Triple H
Jericho.
forever. Angle. He wants these high profile matches and all of that. You just want to be, because if you're champion, you're spotlighted, you're interviewed, you're media, you're dealing with all this shit. He doesn't want that. So he had a 1 month title reign.
He just wants to help put people over.
And he put people over. He put himself over for the Elimination Chamber. After fucking 4 years of getting paid, even though he wasn't actually hurt. The only reason he came back in 02 is because WCW was gone. He was getting paid from WWE the entire time that he was gone. He could have been back. He didn't want to be back.
Yeah, like they wanted, like honestly, like Shawn, he put over quite a few people, like
Which is why the WrestleMania, putting that way, the WrestleMania 23 thing was all about putting John over.
Oh yeah.
There's no way in hell Shawn was going to win that match.
No.
But it was a fucking great match.
It was. The match on Raw may have been a little bit better. That was the 1 hour.
Yeah, but that never should have fucking happened.
No, it shouldn't have. But still, it worked.
The third one didn't really happen.
But, I mean, Shawn helped put a lot of people over, but, I mean...
That's all Shawn was there after 2004.
True. But,
Well, actually, 2003. After he lost the world title, he never won a world title again.
No.
And anytime he ended up in the world title picture, all they did was build him to be credible to lose.
True. But, anyways...
But yeah,
We got-
Jericho, your Shawn and Eddie thing would have been fantastic.
That would have been. But, let's go on to
His last match.
the last match.
The sad one,
Eddie Guerrero versus Ken Kennedy.
which I really wish I didn't do this, but his numbers, it was anywhere between 26 and 40 hours.
So, first off, I wrote that Eddie Guerrero comes out in a 64 Impala.
Oh, you love those 64 Impalas.
Well, my dad owns one, so yeah.
How is that 64 Impala, by the way?
It's doing very well.
I've never actually seen that 64 Impala.
It's chilling in his garage.
Or
right
met
now.
your dad, for that matter.
Well, Eddie Guerrero does an eye poke to Kennedy,
Yeah.
which, typical Eddie at this point. So then Eddie Guerrero throws Kennedy in the corner and starts choking Kennedy with the tag rope. Eddie Guerrero got drop kicked by Kennedy. Eddie does the Three Amigos to Kennedy. Then Kennedy gets thrown into the ref. Eddie Guerrero grabs the chair outside the ring, hits the mat with it, throws the chair at Kennedy. Lie, cheat, steal. Ref DQs Kennedy. Eddie wins.
And moves
So,
on to Survivor Series.
yeah, but he doesn't.
Okay.
Unfortunately.
The
But
idea was.
So I want to review this match. My review of this match is, this is the most Eddie Guerrero match
That we've watched.
that Eddie Guerrero
Tonight.
could possibly have. Especially with the matches we watched. He did exactly what we know Eddie Guerrero to do. He's Latino Heat. He comes out there. He does this thing. He lie. He cheat. He steals. He wins by DQ. But it's Eddie Guerrero. This is, like, if you wanted anybody's last match to be anything, this is the epitome of Eddie Guerrero.
I agree.
Like, I'm not going to rate it because it's not a match. It's just,
Well, yeah,
it's,
exactly.
This is what Eddie Guerrero is.
Yeah.
This match, and like I said, it's, if you would have made it, it sounds bad, but if you would have made it a few more days, did the Survivor Series, did all that, it wouldn't be the same. But this match being his last match, this is Eddie Guerrero.
Yeah, this is like honestly like the perfect note to end it on about him specifically, about his matches. But
It sucks that this is how it went down.
it
but
does. But I mean, because like I have a couple questions here. Would Eddie still be in the business today? Had he still been alive? Like, he might not be with WWE. You can
Let's
pick
see.
any company.
He died, he was 38, 15 years ago. So he would be 53. He'd be a year younger than Bob Orton was in the match we watched earlier.
He'd be in the business for sure.
He'd be doing something, because Vicky's still doing something.
I don't think he's working like matches,
Or even if he works matches, he might be working a part-time-ish schedule, like more than Lesnar, but less than.
You gotta realize Lesnar's not that much younger. I think Lesnar's 47.
I feel like if
46.
Eddie were still alive, he would be working like a Jericho schedule.
Like I say, he's only like if he was
Or
alive
Edge
right now.
schedule, quote unquote.
If he was alive right now, he'd be 4 years older than Jericho. Like 3 years older than Jericho, actually. He died at 38.
So we all agree that he'd be in the business today. Obviously, we can't decide what company he would be for, but we think he would be in the business in general.
Yeah.
And you can't use where his family is now because his family's where they are based off of what happened.
Exactly. So that's not even an argument. So then, I'm gonna turn the table.
I don't want to do the matches thing. You can say matches. He can say moments. I'm just gonna comment
So,
because I know that's where you're going.
yeah. So I got 10 matches that I would recommend any person watch if you're a huge Eddie Guerrero fan. Not in any particular order.
And this guy's got moments.
First off
Moments
is
that I feel were great.
ladder match for the Intercontinental title on Raw in
RVD?
2002. Yep, Eddie Guerrero and Van Dam.
I know that one. I like that one a lot. I agree with that.
There is the Cruiserweight title match from Halloween Havoc. I believe it's 96 or 97.
Mysterio?
Eddie Guerrero, Rey Mysterio.
Yep, I know that one too.
There is the 2 out of 3 Falls match for the ECW television title in 1995. Eddie Guerrero and Dean Malenko.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
There's the Triple Threat Elimination match for the WWE Taking Titles from Survivor Series 02. Edge and Rey Mysterio versus Kurt Angle, Chris Benoit versus Los Guerreros.
This is still one of my favorite tag team matches of all time, especially multi-team matches of all time. That didn't involve a stipulation.
There's the
TLC is something else.
There's the no disqualification match from SmackDown in 02. Eddie Guerrero versus Edge.
I don't remember that one that much. So.
There's the SummerSlam 2005 ladder match for the custody of Dominic. The story kind of dumb, but the match is actually kind of good.
No, the story's not dumb. The story is atrociously bad, but the match itself is perfect, and Dominic's involvement in it is also perfect.
Eddie Guerrero versus Rey Mysterio.
Yeah, except for he decides. Yeah, basically he decides how it ends. And now we know Dom is this gigantic fucking monster now, apparently, because the guy's fucking 6 foot tall now.
There's the WWE Tag Team title match from Backlash 03, World's Greatest Tag Team versus Los Guerreros.
Anything with the World's Greatest Tag Team and Eddie's got to be good.
There is the World Heavyweight title match from No Mercy 05, Eddie and Batista.
Which we just got done talking about.
Yep. There is the WWE title match from No Way Out 04, Eddie Guerrero and Brock Lesnar.
Which we also just got done talking about. Like,
I mean, both those are great. So
there's a reason they're on this list. They're on. We picked those shows because it was Eddie's defining WWE moment where he won the title.
Yep.
And it was Eddie's last pay-per-view. And then we did Kennedy's match, which is the last match.
Then there's the WWE title match from WrestleMania 20, Eddie Guerrero and Kurt Angle.
This, I'm going to throw this out because I'm not going to do too much on it because we're going to review the show eventually. But talking Eddie Guerrero-wise, this match itself is underrated as hell because of how good that main event is at WrestleMania.
I love the finish.
Yeah.
Because of how good that main event is at WrestleMania 20, everybody kind of forgets that.
I agree. I mean, Eddie Guerrero and
Kurt had
they tore the house down.
And like I said, I don't want to get too far into it because we're going to do WrestleMania 20.
Exactly.
But I want to point that out that this match is extremely underrated.
I completely agree.
And we'll get into it.
So then, let's just kind of go over some Eddie Guerrero moments that were our favorite moments. Albert, you start us off.
All right, the first thing was the Latino heat. Anything he did with China, the Mamacita kind of thing, I enjoyed it. And my favorite spot of that was when Eddie and China and Angle were in a three-way for the Intercontinental title. Eddie beat China because China got hit by something and he wanted to comfort her, so he gives her a hug and takes her down to the mat. The referee comes over and counts her out. And he gets up and is like, "Oh, I'm so sorry," and she's like, "Okay," and he gives her a hug and he does the grin, and it was amazing, and that look on his face, same thing he had versus Batista. He just has that. It's great.
He just had very good facial expressions.
Yeah.
The personality in the character was top. match.
The story with this is the story in the era of Dominic and Mysterio, because it started off at WrestleMania. Apparently, I had to go look it up.
When he fucking says "I'm your poppy" is
because like the WrestleMania part is just when they were tag partners
right,
and they were
yeah.
trying to say
and
who's
then,
better.
and then they blew up.
So Eddie became frustrated because he's lost to Ray. Eventually turned on him in a tag team title match against Eminem. And then apparently Eddie said he had a secret that Ray said, okay, we'll have a match. And if I win, you don't reveal the secret. Ray wins. Eddie reveals it anyway. And then we have the I'm Your Poppy.
That's where the
Oh
I'm
my-
Your Poppy promo. I don't care because they had Dominic in the fucking crowd for this.
Oh my god, no. The best part is like, so the promo starts off as Eddie Guerrero's at a school, and he's got Dominic next to him. He's like, Dominic, let me read you a bedtime story, da 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 da. And he's like, okay, Uncle Eddie, da 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 da. And Ray's like, Eddie, you don't do it. You said you're not gonna do it. And he goes, guess what, Ray? I lied. I cheat. I steal. Dominic, I'm your poppy.
So Eddie said that.
I have multiple comments about this.
So Eddie said to reveal this that Ray and his wife are having problems having kids, and he said he gave him Dominic.
He's like, I helped you have this.
Yeah, it's my biological son. I gave you Dominic so you can have a kid.
Here's like the story itself. Like, talk about the story itself it's great. The story itself is a momentum thing. Or
monumentous thing.
Yeah, monumentous. I was gonna correct myself, but the thing that fucks me up is like, you have to tell this your actual son, because Ray had to explain this to him because he's gonna be a part of the fucking story.
Smarten him up a little bit, yeah.
Like, yo, this isn't real, but I need you to be like, yo,
look confused.
Believe this shit.
Well, no, you got to think about it because Dominic at this point in time would have had to go to school.
I'm just saying.
And then Dominic would have had to be like, if people were asking him, hey, who's your dad?
Well,
he would have been like, Eddie Guerrero.
That's basically the point I'm getting at.
Yeah.
That's the point I'm getting at. Is like, he had to fake it at school. He had to fake it on TV. He had to fake all this shit because, especially in 2005, because Twitter's still not a thing and kayfabe's still kind of a thing.
Yeah.
They can't really break that shit. And you got to tell this 10-year-old, whatever, 9, 10, 8-year-old
Yeah, whatever,
kid.
however
This
old
is
he
2005,
was.
so the kid's got to be what? He's
young.
12.
Let's just say that.
Somebody look up how old he is right now, because we're talking 2005. So that's 15 years ago.
I think it's like 12 or 13. Maybe
Well, that would make him like 27 now.
Okay.
Which means he could have started a long time ago. I'm talking about.
Maybe he's younger. Maybe 10 years old.
It's like, how old is Dominic right now?
23.
Oh, he's 23. So 15 years ago, he's 8.
Oh,
which means he's in fucking like 3rd grade.
Yeah, he's born in
second,
he's
third
born
grade.
in 97.
Yeah, like
Oh,
2nd or 3rd
God, I'm
grade.
old.
Second or 3rd grade at this point, where he's got to be like, yo,
Yeah.
this isn't real, but we need you to act like it in your entire life.
You have to walk around saying you are Dominic Guerrero, essentially.
But the problem I have with it is, even when Ray wins, they don't retcon the fact that Ray's his actual dad until 2020, for one. He's just like, no, I want custody, because that's all the match was.
I doubt he got shit for it, but I'm pretty sure people picked on him anyway.
But I'm just saying, like, in reality, I'm sure they're like, oh yeah, there's this story. Like, he's an 8-year-old kid. They're not gonna make him be like, yo, yeah, Eddie's. Like, they probably like, yeah, until the story was over. Like I said, when the story ended, Ray won custody. That did not mean that Ray was dad. They never clarified that Ray was Dominic.
That is true.
Until fucking 2020 when he popped up on TV.
My another moment of mine was the Halloween Havoc match with Rey Mysterio.
What you just said, that whole thing with Ray, Eddie, I'm your poppy, that thing is one of my favorite Eddie moments.
As disturbing and weird as it
it's
is.
fucked, but
Yeah.
I'm your poppy is one of the most quotable Eddie Guerrero things you could possibly think of. And the bedtime story.
So at the time, the WWE had been doing the lightweight division, and WCW
Was the lightweight.
was the lightweight.
Cruiserweight, and WWE
yeah.
did the lightweight.
And so WCW was doing the cruiserweight, yeah. But with if they didn't have guys like Mysterio and Eddie Guerrero, obviously it would have been that much of a hit. So go to Halloween Havoc '97. Not only was it for the cruiserweight title held by Guerrero, Mysterio put his mask up on the line.
Yep.
And this was like one of the first times where like a major storyline was involved with people who
it's
weren't.
where Ray lost his mask?
No, that was Kevin Nash like a year
I
later.
do know that he did
he
wear
lost
his
it a
mask in
while
WCW
longer.
for a while, and
That was like in '99.
and he was young as shit.
Yeah.
Like towards the end of WCW.
Filthy Animals. That's when
That
it
makes more
didn't have
sense.
a mask.
Because that was fucking weird.
That was stupid.
Yeah.
It was weird too.
So like this was looking back to me, it was the first time you see a main event storyline. I'm serious. Main event storyline that
For the
didn't involve
cruiserweight
somebody who was 250 on up, a heavyweight, because that's what WWF was doing.
For
And
somebody who weighed less
WCW
than 200 pounds.
had guys like, and so if WWE was doing it for so long, and then all those guys like Hogan and Savage and Nash and all them came over to WCW, and they considered these guys vanilla midgets. This is a monumental match. Maybe it was Malenko and Guerrero and ECW that might have started the trend. I don't know. But
Paul Heyman was a big fan of Japanese and Mexican wrestling.
Yeah.
So that's why he started bringing over the
Paul
Jerichos, the Two Cold Scorpios, the Eddies, the Malenkos, the Mysterios, Psychosises.
All those guys, yeah.
He started bringing those guys over because he's like, these guys can fucking work.
Yeah.
He didn't want ECW to be straight blood and guts.
Yeah.
So we brought it up. Jericho had amazing masters of Hoovy. Who the hell is Hoovy?
Yeah. So
they brought it up.
So that match was great. Like Rey Mysterio wore his all purple onesie. It was really interesting. Now, so you saw and you saw Rey Mysterio in this match with JBL. He was a little bit more beefed up. Both of these guys were so skinny back in '97, and these guys were putting on friggin' like 5-star matches every match they get, no matter who they were with. If it wasn't a 5-star match, it's the other guy's fault, guaranteed. And these guys had a main event level match, so that's to me that's a big moment for Eddie Guerrero. And so obviously the other moments I had, besides my sentimental favorite of him doing the thing with Kennedy where he throws a chair and fakes like he got hurt. Yeah. Anytime he does that, it's great. But winning the WWE title.
Albert, did you watch SummerSlam 2020 yet? By the way,
I have not.
Look at Seth Rollins' attire.
Yeah, it's Rey Mysterio.
Oh,
it's the Rey Mysterio Halloween Havoc attire.
That's the all purple attire that you were
Did he
talking
really?
About. Yeah, he really did. Against Rey. Against
Dominic.
Oh, just to mock him. Oh, snap.
Yeah. I saw that one.
And obviously the other two moments that off the top of my head are my two favorite moments possibly of all time, especially the angle match at WrestleMania 20 and then the main event with Benoit.
You brought up the ladder match already. That was like one of my first ones.
And
you got to realize how hard it was because he brought up the fact that he showed up in WWE and they got rid of him.
Yep.
He came in and got hurt right away.
Well, that's not even why they got rid of him. They got
rid of him because he was addicted.
Him, Benoit, and Malenko came in. And
Saturn.
Yeah.
Perry,
I don't really want to talk about Perry Saturn, but they all came in, and Guerrero ended up being the odd man out at that point.
Well,
later on.
Then Guerrero got, back into his addictions, and he got released in 2002 in Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Which is another weird
coincidence.
Minneapolis is very, very attributed to Eddie's problems.
Unfortunately, Minneapolis was just bad luck for Eddie.
We talked about it. It's like, don't come to Minneapolis. How about that?
Lost his job here. Died here.
Fired, yeah.
I mean, then he started doing a little bit of indie tours, but then he came back and had, a pretty decent feud for the Intercontinental title with RVD away.
That ladder match was just...
Well, and he had a couple other matches. He had, Insurrection, Backlash, and Judgment Day as well, so we had, a 3-month program.
It's really weird to hear Insurrection because that pay-per-view is lost on most people.
It is.
And Invasion, for that matter.
No, not the Invasion pay-per-view. That one's actually well-known because that was the highest buy rate at the time of a non-Big Four.
Yeah.
But that's because they were like, WCW dudes, hell yeah!
Austin's the captain!
I was going more on those UK pay-per-views weren't that popular.
No, they weren't. Rebellion is the one you're thinking of.
Yeah, that's the one that had Edge versus Paul Heyman and Brock Lesnar for the WWE title. That was something else.
But, there's a lot of Eddie Guerrero moments that were great. One of them is, when he was feuding with Big Show and he fucking shot shit all over Big Show.
Okay.
Yes!
The weird thing about that, it's weird because that's the third time they've done this. They did the beer thing with Austin. They did the milk thing with Angle. And they did this with Eddie, and they all worked.
The X did it to the McMahons as well.
Yeah, that was after this.
Well, first things first is that particular night. Eddie Guerrero has a couple burritos. And Big Show steals them and eats them. So Big Show's trapped in the shitter.
The toilet paper
And Eddie took the toilet paper out of there.
Also, dude,
And then he kicks the stall door.
you realize like my thing with this was like, I appreciate what it is at the time, but like myself being like the sympathetic person I feel like I can be. Like, I felt really fucking bad for Big Show.
He stole his burritos.
During all this, between that and then when he's like crying with the shit all.
He's got a bunch of laxatives in his system. He's shitting and he's got no toilet paper.
He's doing that, and then they do the actual moment that's even 10 times worse than that.
When he's spraying the shit all over him from the shit truck.
Big Show's walking out afterwards. He's just fucking crying like.
The funny part about this segment,
I felt bad for Big Show.
I would too. Fucking poor Big Show, man.
the funny part about this, or the interesting part about this segment is that I think the Big Show was in the ring and he evaded the first volley of shit. Then he climbs up and walks up the ramp and then gets buckets of it just dropped on him, right?
Well, no. So Big Show avoids like the first one that falls or whatever. But then Eddie's got the fucking truck in the holes and he just goes.
So he fucking pumps it on him.
Oh, I thought it was something from the ceiling.
He had the whole,
has a
like milk alcohol truck that Austin Angle did. That's why I brought those up.
Eddie has a whole sewage truck. He just unloads.
It's the same fucking thing. It's the same segment. It's just Eddie and Big Show instead of Angle and Austin and Austin
and Rock and yeah.
and then to.
But there's I know it wasn't what they're going for. It was like I was like, man, that sucks for Big Show.
And then going into the WWE Taking Title match with Los Guerreros and World's Greatest Tag Team. At the time, this is right after WrestleMania 19, so Kurt Angle's currently injured. So Team Angle starts bringing out a fucking picture of Kurt Angle and his gold medals.
Yeah.
And Eddie Guerrero and Chavo Guerrero take the fucking medals.
He
and
only had one gold medal. That's the problem.
They sell them, first off. And then they fucking draw a mustache and a sombrero on fucking Kurt Angle's picture. What other great things did Eddie Guerrero do? I remember at one point in time he captained a Survivor Series team. That was a great team. It was him, Cena, RVD, and Big Show. Eddie Guerrero was actually a part of the whole Big Show getting the tranquilizer dart segment from Kurt Angle because they were in a match together. When Big Show got his head shaved by Kurt Angle.
The Angle head shaving thing.
Yeah, that was creepy. Not as creepy as Angle's other feud with Booker T a few years later, but that's a different podcast.
This is the Eddie Guerrero podcast here.
What are the great moments?
The
Oh my
longest
god, we
podcasting
didn't talk
history.
about we didn't talk about the best Eddie Guerrero moment ever. The ending of WrestleMania 20.
Yep.
I
vagued on it.
That's what we're coming to. That's why I didn't talk about
Well, you can talk about like the part at the very end.
Go ahead.
Okay, well, is this the last thing we're going to talk about though? Because if we want to talk Eddie, we need to clarify because this is the last thing that should be said. That moment should be the last moment.
All right.
So if you have more moments, bring those up first.
All right.
I want to end.
I don't have any particular last moment, I don't have any particular other things to say for moments, but here's just one last official question. So, if Eddie Guerrero didn't win the WWE title, would he still be considered a top 10 of all time?
I don't see. The top 10. See, that's an actual really hard question to answer
because you got to think like people talk about their top 10s of all time. They think Bret Hart.
My thing is Bret Hart doesn't make mine because I didn't watch a lot of.
Which I'm in the same boat as you.
But this guy over here, he has the history of pretty much everybody.
You got Shawn Michaels.
Michaels probably makes mine.
You got Chris Benoit.
You're talking different lists though. Like I can make a list of top 10 all time.
You got
and
Jericho.
It would be terrible.
You got Jericho.
I don't think Eddie Guerrero makes my top 10 one way or the other.
I don't think Eddie Guerrero is better than Jericho. I don't care. This is Eddie Guerrero podcast. I guess my answer would be if he didn't win the title, I think he's top 20 at best.
I feel in my personal list, I feel like Eddie Guerrero makes top 10, but
I want to hear your top 10 list. That's what I want to hear. That's all I hear from this.
That's only because the fact that Eddie Guerrero, like in the Batista match, he has the facial features to prove that, he can do whatever the hell he wants. You can tell he genuinely enjoys what he's doing.
So I'm gonna put it this way: you said Jericho, and I said if Eddie was still alive, he'd only be 3-4 years older than Jericho. If you told me Eddie had another 15 years on his record to put moments on there like Jericho has, and say that he did do up to par like Jericho has, then maybe Jericho does do that, or Eddie does do that. But given that his life was ended the way it was at the time it was, I'm not saying the way it was, but the time it was, and given these short, he was great through his entire career.
No matter what.
But there's a lot of people that are great through their career that don't make top 10s. Jericho has had almost 40 years now. He's been pushing since the early 90s, so 30 plus. Eddie died in 05.
Yep.
If he had that 15-year period to add and add and add, which he would have, like I said, I want to know what would have happened.
I would have been very interested.
I am more intrigued about what would have happened. The Eddie Shawn match you may have brought up that we talked about, like that kind of shit.
Fuck.
That's just 6 months after his death. That's much more.
I know that's sad to think about.
And then everything after that would have been a blank, and they would have wrote it from there. And history is written
how it's written,
and it can't be written because he's not there.
Yeah.
So we know nothing. We know what they were pushing towards Mania, because what you said.
Yep.
Like even that helps, but then there's nothing. You don't know what he would have done. You don't know what would have happened. You don't know if he would have made it till now. Like he died in 05. You don't know if he would have died in 2010, 12. This could have died at any time.
Yep.
But he's great, and we did this because he's great. But he's not in my top 10.
See, and I put him in my top 10 just because one thing is no matter if he was face or heel,
I want to be
he
very
had
clear.
that fan connection.
I want to be very clear. I can't do a top 10. If you're talking top 10 all the time,
I'm talking just
that's a whole different podcast.
Okay. How about this? How about we just lowered it down to just straight up just technical wrestling?
No, he's great. No,
I would put him in top 10. Obviously I would have Angle in there too and shit, but I'm not gonna rank them right now, and I wouldn't rank them 1 through 10. But Eddie would be in the top 10 because Eddie could do anything in that ring. He could make a good match out of anyone, no matter what stage of his career he was in. Not many people can do that.
You brought up Angle as a matter. I think Angle has more lows than Eddie does.
He does. I agree.
But that helps that TNA is a shit fire.
Well,
towards the end of it.
Yeah, I agree with that. But if Eddie would have had an extra 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, whatever, I feel like he would be still bona fide top 10. He would be on most people's Mount Rushmore at that point in time.
I don't know if I go that far. My weird thing about Eddie is Eddie picked up steam to his maximum ability with the Brock match, and he was still there with the Batista match, and then he was gone.
Yep.
So we don't know what would have happened.
Yep.
And with the big unknowns of what would have happened, I can't rank him. I don't care what rank I would have done. I don't think I can rank him. I can't rank Benoit either for other reasons, but
even with all the unknowns, I still can rank Eddie in the top 10 in my personal opinion. But that's just because of the fact that Eddie Guerrero is able to win over any crowd.
He can do that.
Eddie Guerrero can play any part on the show and make it work. Whether he was mid-carding it out, whether he was curtain jerking, whether he was main eventing. He always made whatever storyline he was in work for what his character was doing.
Bill Guy Simpson, you got some stuff to say.
I agree with you. I agree with both you guys. It's I'm trying to figure out my own way with it, but my top 10 personally, I don't think he's in there. But
well, to be fair, you also have another 10, 15 years on us
generations worth of people.
So but guys like AJ Styles is in my top 10.
Oh, AJ's in my top 10 because I've been watching him since TNA. I've been watching him since 2002.
So there is a little overlap there.
Oh, I've seen his debut in WCW. I didn't watch him in WCW.
Has he had some great moments in my life in wrestling? Absolutely. But yeah, I think you're right. I think I shade more towards when I was growing up to the guys I'm more fun with. It's kind of like how you guys were with the guys that you first started watching.
Oh, I'm so a fan of Orton.
So, I wouldn't put Orton in my top 10, but that's not.
I'm not even saying Orton.
Yeah,
Orton.
So,
Orton.
and then it's not because he sucks.
Shut up.
Well, because he doesn't. But there guys like Ric Flair, just like, I mean, I can name 10 guys. If you know, if
off the top of my head right now, none of them are wrestling now.
Right.
Well, and you got to
probably
think.
like 6 of them probably aren't.
See, and that's the hard part about for his particular point of view
Eddie's-
is
okay,
we
you-
didn't grow up watching like the Ric Flair classics of the.
It's still weird to say though.
Flair,
'cause
Steamboat,
80s.
Bret Hart,
he's
Savage,
talking,
all
he's
those
talking
guys.
Flair, Steamboat, Bret Hart, Savage. We told him to watch Omega and Okada. But
Yeah.
Omega's not in my top 10.
No.
Okada's not in my top
No.
10 because I don't watch enough New Japan for that to matter. But
Oh,
that
and on
match could be in my top
Oh,
10.
and on top of that, Omega doesn't like have as many, as many years going where he's
But
been consistent.
I would be better, and this is where I don't want to, I'll do top 10 current. That's why we did top 10 current.
Oh yeah,
AEW
top 10
stars.
currents are
I
super
still
easy.
need it.
All
And I'll
time
do
is
top,
super
and
hard.
I'll do top 10 current I'll do top 10 current WWE stars that I like. It's Orton, Styles, and all that come up. But I can't do top 10 all time because we spent hundreds of hours watching ROH, TNA, WWE, WCW, old school, like everything. Like I've seen matches from all the eras. I can't rank.
And I can just put Eddie on the on my.
And if I
personal
did
top
an
10.
all-time list, they'd realize how old I was because it'd be around that time.
Oh, exactly. But
I'll be the only person in the world that will put Orton on the top 10 of their all time.
I mean, I can
Maybe.
I can put Eddie in my top 10.
He would be low on the list, but he'd still be on it.
I could put Eddie in my top 10 because he helped carry a brand, too.
Styles carried TNA for 15 years.
I completely agree with that. Styles did, but like when the SmackDown 6, Eddie Guerrero helped carry SmackDown when Vince didn't want SmackDown to succeed.
Yeah.
He wanted Raw to be his main show.
Yep.
So he had Triple H, Shawn Michaels, Booker T, Chris
Goldberg,
Jericho, Kane,
Scott Steiner.
Goldberg,
Okay.
all over on Raw
So
versus SmackDown.
So this comes back to what I said. I need your AEW top 10. I need current WWE top 10s. And if you really want to, you can do your all times. You send them to me, I'll post them.
Like with all top 10s, it's going to be subjective.
And if you do yours, I will force myself to do it. But the all-time list is the one I really don't want to do. But we got to talk about,
The final moment.
and this is strictly based on the emotions of the time, because this is probably one of the most heartfelt, best wrestling moments of all time.
And to be completely honest, I've said this time and time again. From WrestleMania 20 at the end of the night, all the way until the Great American Bash 2004,
And we brought it up earlier in the podcast.
this is the workhorse era.
Yep.
Benoit and Eddie carrying both brands.
This celebration,
You can't get any better.
there will not be another moment like this.
No.
They tried. Daniel Bryan was a thing. But
Benoit
that was
and Guerrero hugging at the end of WrestleMania 20.
I can see it right now. Benoit's on the rope. Hand me that real quick.
oh, my WWE title up there.
WWE title. The spinner
Even though
room.
it's the world title.
He has it up on the turnbuckle. He has it up in his hands like this, just like it's strapped up. It has it like this. He's done it like twice already. And Jim Ross is like, he's the heavyweight champion of this world. You can feel Jim Ross is also all about it. And he gets down, and Eddie Guerrero's like this. Just this look on his face, like I'm so proud of you.
He already had it.
And he's clapping. He's so proud of this look on his face.
And they give each other a hug.
And they both give each other a hug, and they both put their arms up, and Eddie just points to Chris, because this is Chris's moment. But Eddie loved Chris, and Chris loved Eddie. But
And
Eddie,
we saw that when we watched
and
Chris's
he was pointing to
thing.
Chris because he put Chris over.
Because
and-
Chris finally got to the
Because
moment.
Chris finally got it, and it's not like Eddie wasn't there, but Eddie's there with Chris.
And they were both crying.
And they're both crying.
So my whole point about why this moment is so great, the guy brought up Daniel Bryan, because that was a moment. The problem with the Daniel Bryan moment to this is so organic to the point where nobody expected this to be a thing. Like maybe Benoit's going to win. Nobody expected Eddie to be there. Nobody expected this big old...
Among all the confetti too, which is great.
Nobody expected this.
It
The
gives me
whole
goosebumps today.
Oh yeah, the whole
Still.
Daniel Bryan thing though was like, well, once he beat Triple H, you know he's gonna win. He got in the match.
Actually, no.
You didn't know
Once Taker lost, then you knew Daniel
But I
was
was just
winning.
saying because okay, we're gonna give you
Go
Daniel, but we're
before
gonna take
that.
Triple's loss. But the point is, he beats Triple H. He's in the triple threat. My mind is, he's in it. He's gonna win because they were already mad enough that it's Batista versus Orton. So it's gonna be Daniel because everybody wants Daniel, and then Brock beats Taker. If Brock beats Taker and Daniel loses,
Then that would be one of
That's
the worst WrestleManias according to fans.
but
I would say even like to a smaller degree with Daniel Bryan that he already had his Mania moment when he beat Cena at SummerSlam, and it got ruined because of a cash-in. If they hadn't done that, like you said with the John Cena and the AA earlier on Big Show, same effect.
the only issue I have here is,
It would have been more monumentous.
I guess, being 12 years old and watching WrestleMania 20, you're like, yeah, fucking what the hell just happened, blah, blah, blah. Because that's what we were. You hear about it, but, like, that Daniel Bryan thing felt so, like, that's what's going to happen.
It felt contrived compared.
So I didn't, like, oh, okay. Like, it was, like, I felt why it was impactful and why the fans cared and why all that happened. I didn't feel the emotional connection to it, but when you did but you saw it coming.
Eddie and Benoit was so organic.
Even now, if we did WrestleMania 20, and WrestleMania 20 was WrestleMania 37, and we had the exact same show play out, exactly how it did, and it ended with Benoit and fucking Eddie hugging in the ring with all this shit happening, everybody would be like, where the fuck did this come from?
Yeah.
And they'd be like, fuck yeah, this is great. Everything happens after kind of ruins the moment, but we're not talking about that. We're talking about the moment itself.
We're talking about the good parts right now.
This moment is fantastic.
Yeah.
And we're going to end on that. And thank you for watching. If you got this far, it's the first ever and hopefully only 3-hour fucking podcast.
But it was worth it because Eddie Guerrero was the man, and he's my poppy forever.
R.I.P. Eddie.
This was really fun. I'm glad you guys got me in there.